Election 2024 is over. America has voted, and both sexism and racism have won the day. On Liberal Dan Radio, we will hold everyone accountable, from the media that failed to report the threat that Trump poses to this nation, to the people who supported him. We will pick up the mantle to educate the people about his actions, from being dictator on day one, pardoning January 6th domestic terrorists, implementing Project 2025, and any other draconian measures he tries to pass. And now, the resistance begins. We will open up the phone lines in a little bit. When we do, the phone number will be 562-542-3261 or 562-LIBDAN1. But we're not going to open them up quite yet, but we will open them up later to have some conversations. Otherwise, you can join us in the chat rooms at twitch.tv/LiberalDanRadio or the YouTube channel, which is liberaldanradio.com, making it easy for y'all to get there. To support the show, there is one additional way to support the show that I'll be talking about in a little bit. However, to support the show, you could always become a subscriber over on Twitch. Twitch subscriptions you can get for free with Amazon Prime. It doesn't cost you anything. You just have to redo it every month. You also can gift other people subscriptions over there and buy bits. Conversely, also over there on YouTube, you can become a Liberal Danimal for as little as $2 a month. You can also gift subscriptions over there, use super chats, super stickers, etc. So there's all of that that you could do to help the show. Use the one-time contributions also via Venmo, Liberal Dan at Venmo, or buy me a cider. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button, and you can see your contribution pop up on the show stream that way. Or you can also become a Patreon member, patreon.com/liberaldan or patreon.liberaldan.com. Either way gets you there, and you can support the show on a month-to-month basis as well. Thank you to all the Patreon subscribers up there. Once I do get my new laptop set up, I will probably be working on some other ways to serve that. This is the new laptop I got. So I didn't have enough time to set it up today, but we will have it set up. And hopefully it will be what I need to get the show going well, and maybe it will even stream even better with better technology with a 4 years newer laptop. So as you saw, I was able to fix the date as I was doing the show intro because I forgot to change the date on the show background, the background image for the show. So there it is. I've been very busy today. Somewhat busy today. I was not feeling very well earlier today. Almost considered canceling the show. However, I did start feeling better in the afternoon. I basically dropped my youngest off at school, came back home, and then fell right to sleep, and then woke back up at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That made me feel a little better than I had been feeling. My wife is home from the hospital. I am not optimistic that that will remain the case, because while they were able to rule out the big things, they haven't ruled out the little thing. They haven't found what little thing or what oddball thing is affecting her as well. So she was going to go to different doctors, specialists, etc., and be able to find out exactly what's going on so we can fix it. Some nurse seems to think it might be one particular prescription. We will see if that's the case or not. Of course, a doctor friend of ours said that nurse needs to stay in their lane. So our doctor friend doesn't seem very convinced that the explanation that was given is the correct explanation. So we will still be searching for one. I'm hoping that I'm wrong. I'm hoping that we won't have to go to a different hospital over the next week or so, and I'm hoping that things can become better in the long run. But then, we will continue to plug away. We will continue to fight the fight against Donald Trump and his ridiculousness. The 9 days in, we have a dumpster fire. Um, and you know, it's burning brighter than I even thought it would. I mean, I knew we were going to have a dumpster fire. I knew it was going to be burning bright. However, what I didn't realize is how efficiently he would be able to start burning that fire. Now, he's not doing anything else efficiently, despite Doge or whatever, but they've efficiently started that dumpster fire burning real bright. Because, as I say here, Donald Trump has been swatting flies with hammers. So, what do basically mean by that? Basically, if you've not heard that idea before, he's been basically just trying to swing a hammer or a mallet or whatever, trying to get the flies. And you might get one every once in a while, but really you're just going to cause much more damage to everything else. That is the problem with swatting flies with hammers. We do have another way to support the show. Let's see, was it Cosmic Rose? Thank you for joining us over on Twitch. Those weren't really commercials. Those are just the show intros that I have. I play the Nimbus, the Evening Land or whatever. I play that one just as a kind of an intro to go into the show, and then actually you don't even hear that one because that one's not. It's flagged by Twitch. So then I play my little intro to the show, and then the intro music as well. So those weren't really commercials. I try not to do commercials. I used to do them a little bit back in the day, back when I was on Blog Talk Radio. However, now that I'm on YouTube, I would much rather have sponsorship and support by the viewers like y'all, by becoming subscribers on Twitch or YouTube members. I'd much rather that happen. I'd much rather that be the way than have to shove ads down your throats. I mean, if someone's willing to pay a whole bunch of money to sponsor like the Liberal Dan Radio Studios, I'd probably take up that deal, and we'd probably do a little bit of just kind of like a mid-roll type thing. But I don't even do mid-rolls on YouTube. You might see ads on Twitch simply because of the fact that I don't know how to turn off those ads from rolling unless you're a paid subscriber on Twitch. But on YouTube, I opt out of doing the advertisements during the live shows because I don't want y'all missing anything, and I get a little annoyed. Oh yeah, that's the thing, I guess. I guess that's what Cosmic Rose is seeing. She's seeing the Twitch commercials, which I can't stop. TurboTax commercials, apartments.com apparently are getting advertised on Twitch. We will, so I guess when the ads are over, I'll have to give that again. But yeah, I do apologize. The way to avoid that on Twitch is to be a paid subscriber or use your free Amazon.com ability, Amazon Prime ability to subscribe to the channel free every month. But if you want to avoid the commercials, I guess you could just watch over on YouTube, and that's even better. Can't people give you free money on Twitch if they are Amazon Prime members? Yes, that's true. Now they're doing progressive insurance. That's crazy. 4 ads. They're really hammering the Twitch people with ads. So, yeah, Mad. See, brilliant minds think alike, Mad Mac. We will get to the chat and say hello to the people in a second, but we only have 11 current viewers currently over on, let's see, let's just type this out. We only have 11 subscribers. I think I probably know why, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and pin this message as well, and we'll go ahead and do this. Just reporting for you, Hal has my Prime. I mean, yeah, you can only do one Prime every month, but yeah, I can't avoid the Twitch commercials. That Twitch runs those. I don't control that. I don't run commercials during the live shows on YouTube simply because of the fact that simply because I would prefer the people be able to watch my show and listen to it. Now, after the show, yeah, you're going to see commercials on videos because you're not going to miss anything mid-roll with mid-roll ads running. But yeah, I'm not going to do it. Some creators do it on YouTube. Maybe if I was much bigger, I would change that. I don't think I would, simply because of the fact that I would rather y'all be able to not be aggravated during a live show with ads. And I wish there was some way I could fix that on Twitch where I only accepted subscription funds and not ad revenue. So anyway, so let's go ahead. We're going to pin these two message. That one's pinned already. That one's now pinned as well. There we go. So yeah, let's put this thing up here as well. Over on Twitch, I don't know if this will work on nerdydan.com. Let's see if it does work on the. It works on nerdydan.com. I don't know if it works on liberal on this stream. We will see. It might not, but we will see. But anyway, if you go to the link in the pinned messages, either on Twitch or YouTube, if you see in the show description on YouTube as well, every once in a while on nerdydan.com, I will get a show sponsorship. I will get a sponsorship that people can download games and play them. And this is a mobile-only game called Best Fiends. And usually these things run for like a week or two. This one runs for 30 days. If you download the game, you have 30 days to get up to level 300. I did 50 levels in one day, so it's not that difficult to get the initial levels done, whatever. You can support the show that way. It doesn't cost you anything to play the game. You don't have to spend any money in the game. You can continue to play it. It works, and it will generate money. I think the first 18 people to get up to level 300 will get me about $900 or so, maybe even more. And then you could also, if you're the type of person that wants to, buy super chats, buy super stickers, spend money to support the show, this is the best way to spend money to support the show. Because if you buy in the game a $2.99 pack, just $2.99, I get $4. If you super chat or super sticker on YouTube, for example, or buy bits, I don't get all of that money. YouTube keeps some of it. Even if you Venmo me, $2.99, I get $2.99. If you download this game and get to the point where you can buy a pack for $2.99, I get $4. So you get much more bang for your buck. Plus, if you play the game more, it's more free ways to help support the show. And since I had to buy the new laptop, I could really use that help. Anyway, so there it is. That is what it is. It's a very simple matching game. All you're doing is matching things together. A couple levels in, they make it very easy for you to support the show. Thank you, Mad Mac, for gifting 5 memberships as well. Appreciate you for doing that. That's awesome of you. Thank you so much. But yeah, you get much more bang for your buck if you download the game that way and spend the $2.99 or whatever to buy that one-time purchase. You don't have to you can't do it multiple times on the account, but if the first 18 that do it, I get $4, but the first 50 that do it, I also get free Twitch memberships for nerdydan.com as well. So free Twitch subscriptions will also be awarded by the gifting fairy or whatever it's called. So you get much more bang for your buck. So actually the $2.99 gets me even more than the $4 that they offer for that. So anyway, just a great way to help support the show. Give it a shot. It's a little fun, enjoyable game. Play it while on the can or whatever, and you can get that. So we're gonna close the stream. We're gonna close that little image for a second. Just we might put it on a little later, but we don't need to have that running all the time. But again, and I'll probably remind you a little bit if we get more viewers than that. But just go to the pinned link, download the game on your cell phone, and it's a very easy way to help support the show. Let's now go back through the chats. We already said hello to Cosmic Rose and to Aaron over on Twitch. We have Aaron, Mad Mac, Steve from across the pond. Jolie is here, who apparently has a new manager and got an effed up schedule. That's fine. Take care of your personal business. Take care of your work. That's more important. Andrea, in the ER with my granddaughter, bronchitis. I'm very sorry to hear that. I hope she's on the mend and hope she feels better soon. Andrea has been very helpful with me and with dealing with the issues with my wife and her having to go to the ER 3 times in the last 3 weeks. So I definitely can sympathize with that, and I send all the best wishes to you and your family to try and hopefully make sure that gets taken care of. Progressively Independent, thank you for joining as well. Jeff, too bad you don't live right in Uranus. You live close to Uranus. So Jeff, if you live in Missouri and you're close to Uranus, does that mean you live in the taint of Missouri or Missouri, whatever it is? Hey Jackie, good to see you. Roxanne, You don't have to put on the red lights. Steven Sayers, thank you as well for joining in. Again, everybody, please remember to smash the like button, smash the patriarchy, share the link to the chat so more people can come in and help support the show. Big Hook as well. I will be opening the phone lines later, Big Hook, if you do want to call in. They're not quite open yet, but, you know, they will be open at some point after I do a plethora of rants. Let's see. Who got the memberships? Val's in a Van. That's awesome. Cheryl Nelson Vlogs. Liz Allen. Maria Ali all got the gifted memberships. That's awesome to see. Oh, and also Big Dog NC got it as well. So, Mad Mac, you don't even need to do Twitch to play the game. Like, the Twitch memberships will go to somebody else. They're just gifted memberships or subscriptions or whatever over there. You don't have to be a member of Twitch to play the game. You can just download the link from the pinned link here on YouTube and play the game. You don't even have to touch Twitch. It's not a big deal. So there it is. Oh, lovely. I'm getting a "you are not receiving enough bits" thing from you. Hopefully that'll change after I set up my new laptop. CR is here. Good to see you, CR. Kevin Anderson's here. Good to see you, Kevin. Thank you for joining the show. As we are scrolling down. Impeccable Living. Thank you for becoming a liberal Danimal. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but Danimals. So let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. Anyway. Sorry. Uranus used to be a big strip club close to my army base. Soldiers got banned from there, so they turned it into Uranus as a big middle figure. That's awesome. I knew it used to be a strip club. I didn't realize that it was an army base, and soldiers were getting banned from it. So there you go. But that's funny. I do appreciate the good sense of humor. I do appreciate good jokes and good puns and good play of words or whatever. What's up, Bulldog76 over on Twitch? Anor Villaby is over there as well. Appreciate y'all. Bulldog with his first time chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate you as always. Again, we'll go over the different ways to help the show and support the show. But again, the most important way to help the show for free is just, again, like videos, comment on videos, live ones that have already been published. Share them with your friends. If you find one that's really good or really helpful, share it to other people. Share it to your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever it is. I'm on social media, Liberal Dane Radio, all over the place. If you don't find me on Liberal Dane Radio in a place where you are at, let me know and I'll rectify the situation as well. The Goddess Kimchi has entered the chat. Thank you so much, Kimchi, for joining us as well. Appreciate you. Let's see. They had no idea it would take off as much as it would. It's busy 7 days a week. Oh, I mean, I guarantee you that if I was in Missouri and I was close to there, I would be in Uranus constantly. Oh my. See, I didn't know that damn my AT department won't allow Twitch even on the boss's computer. I'm not upset by that. That's funny. Yeah, Twitch, I mean, Twitch made it was easier on Twitch to be monetized than it would be on YouTube, but maybe that's why. Maybe the reason why is because they throw the ads at you and want to encourage you to buy the subscriptions, whereas on YouTube, the decision as to whether or not you see ads is mine, not on theirs. So, Mad Mac, no, Dan. I had to make the joke. Come on. It's me. Let's see. What other things can we talk about before we get into the meat of the show? Giving people, I guess, a few more minutes to wander on in, as we're 18 minutes into the show already. Can't believe I've been chatting for freaking 18 minutes about all this stuff. And I haven't really talked about much political stuff because, well, that's what we tend to do. We like to give people just, let people trickle in, let people, it's not trickle down economics. On Liberal Dane Radio, it's trickle in economics, right? So, just get a little thirsty, get myself some more water before we continue on the chat. But yeah, we got lots of stuff to talk about, some videos to play, some other stuff to play as well. We will have at least 2 Fat Man rants, if not more, that will be live, and that those will be uploaded. Assuming I remember, I haven't uploaded the 3rd one from Monday because I forgot to record it and I didn't get the opportunity to swing around and actually download the entire show, find the first Fat Man rant, and upload that to YouTube. I also, stupid me, forgot to put the Liberal Dan Radio presents Fat Man Rants. I didn't get the opportunity to I completely forgot I had the opportunity to do it. I just completely forgot to do it for the 2 most recent Fat Man rants, which I'm very disappointed in myself on. Just dropping the ball all over the place. But with all of the busy stuff that I've been dealing with, like, one of the reasons I didn't have a little bit more prepared for this show is because sometime today I got notification from my older son's school that they were having a back to school night where you get to talk to the teachers. So I was at my son's school from 5 and I didn't get home till 7. So, you know, getting home at 7, I had to help my wife with a few things, which again, I'm more than happy to do. That's my number one priority. So I had to put some of the show prep on the back burner. So there's no Hypocrite of the Week this week. I did have a Words of Reckoning Wisdom that I wanted to put together, but again, I didn't have enough time to do it. I hope y'all will forgive me for that. I'm sorry to hear about your medical condition and medical living. Usually I read what you say, but everybody is free to read it in the YouTube chat. But I'm definitely sorry that you're out of commission for a few days or whatever. Maybe there's a joke there somewhere, I don't know, about being better prepared, or maybe you should get, I think it's this very similar to the joke that was made by Dr. Evil in one of the Austin Power movies or whatever. Let's see. Steven Sayers, RFK anti-vaccines or not? Record says not. Here's the thing with RFK Jr. He is basically saying, maybe we could turn this into a video. We'll start recording this one as well. The problem with RFK Jr. is this. RFK Jr. Will say that he's not anti-vax. However, he will then say, well, he wants you to be able to choose whether or not you take vaccines or not. But here's the problem with that line of business, and here's why he has no business running any department related to health in any administration, be it state or at the federal level. The reason is this: vaccines won't work if you don't require their use. You should not be free to deny the polio, to say, I'm not going to take polio, I'm not going to get my kids the polio vaccine, I'm not going to get my kids the MMR vaccine. You should not be free to be able to opt your kids out of those things and then send your kids to school. Because if you do that, then you're not protecting the other people who are not able to take vaccines. Because if enough people are vaccinated against polio, against MMR, etc., if enough people have the vaccines, you get a herd immunity type going on where if there are people who can't take the vaccines, you don't give the diseases, the viruses, whatever, you don't give them enough time, enough abilities, enough pathways into the community to be able to get to the most vulnerable people. You want to reduce the vectors of transmission that can get to the vulnerable people who can't be vaccinated, and the only way to do that is by making sure that everybody else is vaccinated. So RFK Jr. can say all day long that he's not anti-vaccine, but if you're not pushing the idea, the accurate and correct idea, that the only way to have these vaccines be effective is by making sure that everybody who can take them does take them, guess what? You're anti-vaccine because you're anti what the vaccines are supposed to do and how they're supposed to work. If you're not pushing the vaccines to be administered in the way that they need to be, to have them be fully effective, to keep measles and mumps and rubella out of our schools, to keep polio from spreading, to keep all of these diseases that we've quashed out of, the public sphere, and protecting those people who legitimately can't take these vaccines, then you're not pro-vax, you are anti-vax by default. You might not be it in words, but you're anti-vax in actions. And that's the problem with RFK Jr. and why he absolutely should not be confirmed. Apparently, today, I haven't had the opportunity to watch his hearings today over his being grilled by the Senate or what have you. Apparently, he doesn't even know how Medicare and Medicaid works. How can you be in charge of any Department of Health in the federal level if you don't know how Medicare and Medicaid works? He's not qualified for the position. I mean, there are lots of other people who are also not qualified for the position. That being said, he's probably the worst of the worst. at least Pete Hegseth, for as horrible as Pete Hegseth is, and he absolutely should not have been confirmed, and he was the closest, vote that has ever happened, I think, on that confirmation for that position. He still is more qualified for his position than RFK Jr. is for the position he's been nominated for. And Pete Hegseth shouldn't be anywhere near that position, but at least he has some military service. RFK Jr. doesn't have the experience needed for the position whatsoever, even less so than old Petey boy. And that's saying a lot. Anyway, what do you think? Agree or disagree? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, subscribe, and of course, have a good day. And of course, if you've not watched the show before, if this is your first time watching, Bulldog, that was your first time chat. That's oftentimes when I record something live, I will make sure to put the like, subscribe, and have a good day in the video as I record it. And as such, I'll be able to, not have to add anything, and I can more easily, produce them and push them up to YouTube so that you can share those small clips with people instead of having to say, hey, Liberal Dan made this great point about RFK Jr. and why he shouldn't be confirmed. Now go watch this entire 3-hour show and find it. I love when people watch the 3-hour show. I love that y'all, join every week. That's great. That's awesome. I appreciate it. I know some people don't have the time or the energy or the ability to do all that. And some people, especially the people who don't understand why RFK Jr. is not qualified, they're not going to want to sit through a 3-hour show, at least if they don't know what I bring to the table. Now you'll have a little clip probably available early tomorrow to be able to say, this is why RFK Jr. is not qualified for the job. And then that might bring more people into the show. Anyway, just taking a little note to say that's the first thing I recorded. That's the first clip. A new thing I'm trying to do to make sure that I know the order of my clips and what they are, so I know what little intro templates to make. Let's see. Anything else that has been said about that? Let's see. Kimchi. Every time I go out, someone is a jelly of my Obama purse with magazine covers of the best first couple, and it probably pisses the racists off. Win-win. That is a win-win, absolutely. If I wore a purse, I'd want that one too. That's why I would wear my No Malarkey shirt all over the place, even when I wasn't doing the show during the Biden administration, just because of the fact that, hey, whatever. Eventually when I get these Liberal Dan radio shirts produced, well, maybe that'll be something other people will wear as well to piss them off too. So... See, Suzanne, I've got ulcers again due to all the stress. Oh, trust me, I know the feeling. I'm surprised I don't have ulcers at this point. Let's see, Big Hook. I went to the emergency a couple of nights ago and got seen and assessed. I had a CT scan ordered to rule out anything more serious. Got my CT scan the next day and was given my prescription $0. Oh, Canada. I should start getting used to singing the song because we may have to all move there one day and escape the hellscape that is Trumpistan, or as my idea during the last 4 years with all the MAGA folks being like, let's just take all the red states like Idaho, South Dakota, North Dakota, all those Midwest states, Wyoming, Kansas, all those middle America states, let them build a wall around those if they want to, and they can make their own country and call it Dumbfuckistan, and then they could have their own little country and they could do whatever it is they want to do and leave us the hell alone. And then when all of them stop taking vaccines and they all die from polio and measles and mumps or whatever, we'll get the states back. Right? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Yeah, Steven Sayers, that's why we vaccinated all the school kids for decades. Exactly. But I'm concerned that RFK Jr. is going to push that we don't require those things and that the states will follow suit, and then we'll have outbreaks of all these preventable diseases happening all over the country. Oh, and also, what I probably should have added to the video that it didn't, I won't add it now, but whatever. RFK Jr. wants to remove fluoride from the drinking water. We're going to be a toothless... I guess they want the rest of America to look like a big portion of the MAGA folks who are already toothless. Maybe they feel bad about being toothless, so the Trump administration's idea will be, oh, let's remove fluoride from the water so that we can all be toothless and all sing Kumbaya, except we'll have, like, no teeth, so I'll have to sing it like, Kumbaya, my lord, Kumbaya, instead of, singing it normally. Because, fluoride is a carcinogen. Whatever, get the hell over it. See, is an ulcer similar to stones? No, an ulcer is kind of like my best understanding of an ulcer is like an abrasion in the stomach lining or whatever, where the stomach stuff can get out. Whereas a stone is like in your kidneys. So, yep, Aaron already answered it for me. There we go. But they both cause pain. I've had both. I've had ulcers and I've had kidney stone. I'd much rather the ulcers than the kidney stone, I promise you. Ugh, it's terrible. There was one time, though, my wife had a kidney stone, and she calls me. I'm at lunch. I worked down the street from the casino, which was Harrah's, but I think it's now Caesars. Work walking distance down the street from the casino, and we all decided to go eat at the buffet. While I'm at the buffet, my wife calls me to tell me that she has a kidney stone at the time, because she never does anything the easy way. But here's the thing. We get a big kick out of the Saturday Night Live skit, easy for me to say, where they do the Barry Gibb talk show, where you have Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake being, I think, Barry and Andy Gibb. And they play the version of the Nights on Broadway. And it's like, working it out on the Barry Gibb talk show, working it out. So my wife calls me, and while she's calling me, that song, the real song, is playing on the speakers overhead, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe you called me. The song from the Barry Gibb talk show is actually playing on. And she was like, I don't care about that. I have a kidney stone. I need to go to the ER. And I'm like, well, I'm at Harrah's right now, so it's going to take me a while to walk back to my car and drive to our house and then drive you to the ER. So have your mother drive you, and then I'll meet you there. Of course, my wife picks on me about that, and the only thing she'll tell other people is, I called Dan and said that I had a kidney stone, and he says, well, I'm at Harrah's. I'm like, you're leaving out some very important things. Like, it'll take me a while to walk from Harrah's to my work, to get to the parking garage, let my boss know that I have to leave because my wife has to go to the ER, drive down the parking garage from, like, the 9th floor all the way down, get out, cross the river, get to our house, then bring you to the ER. So... But it gives her joy and fun to make fun of me on that issue, so I just kind of pick back at her, but it's just kind of funny. Let's see, Big Hook. Ever notice a lot of Americans, not Dan, I stress, are quick to say, you're not here, you get no opinion, go home, but also quick to say, we might all move there to get away. Yeah. I mean, I had a situation in Firestone like that. I'm waiting for my tires to get fixed or whatever, or replaced. And this guy sitting next to me, and he's talking all of this horrible crap about the Affordable Care Act, about Obamacare, and hey Teresa, good to see you. And he's like, yeah, but I think I want to move up to Canada because I hear they have a great healthcare system. That's the cognitive dissonance that that MAGA is just suffers with. That's why Donald Trump, after the 2016 Nevada primary, said that I love the poorly educated people. He loves the poorly educated people because those are the easy ones to dupe. Those are the ones that he could sell his snake oil to. Those are the ones who will buy the lines of bull that he sells. Or whatever. Or his steaks, or his ties, or whatever else. Or his shoes, his watches, his NFTs, his cryptocurrency, or even just his campaign promises. Those are the people who probably, if Donald Trump told them that they took gullible out of the dictionary, they would believe him, even though it's not true. So, see, Mad Mac, they say that to me and I live here. I don't sound like the typical Yankee, so they think I'm a tourist and talk shite to me. Well, the reason you saying shite might give them pause to make you think that you don't live here, because Americans typically, unless they're doing a type of Irish accent or something, they're typically not going to say shite. So, how does it feel when you got no flow? Are you trying to do... I'll say, so you're trying to do Bob Dylan? How does it feel when you got no flow and you got a kidney stone? I've done the how does it feel better. That wasn't my best impersonation of him. By any stretch of the imagination, I don't know why that came out as badly as it did, but probably because I was like, I saw it and I had to process it first. Of course, Mad Max. There's the other, and you're sliding into home, and your shorts are full of foam, diarrhea. Different song, clearly. Imagine Bob Dylan singing that though. Then you're sliding into home, and your shorts are full of foam, diarrhea. Cosmic Rose, I watched the entire hearing. My condolences to you. Although I would have preferred to be able to watch it and then, get some clips and go over the clips. But at this point, I'm sure other people have done it. Maybe even Hal's done it. And I don't know. I think I might be hitting that one too late. But who knows? If he hasn't been confirmed by Monday, maybe we'll go over the bits and clips from the hearing as well. But until then, maybe we'll just give that to other people to do. And we'll just, hope that there's one more senator who opposes him than oppose Pete Hegseth. And there should be. I think Bill Cassidy, who's a doctor, may very well be like, you know what, you oppose vaccines being required on people? Yeah, maybe you're not the person to lead this department. There you go. TV2 Live, I've been streaming a few of the hearings. I stream RFK Jr. hearing live today. I need to get notifications from your channel, because I would definitely join in and watch along on your channel versus watching along on CNBC or whatever, C-SPAN or whatever it is on. C-SPAN's probably the right one. No turtle toes tonight? Wait, what's the turtle toes? I'm not quite sure what that is in reference to. I'm missing the point. See, I saw an old doctor. He knew Dylan, called him Bobby. That was really weird. Well, I actually was going to be called, my name was going to be Dylan Zimmerman because my mom was a big fan of Bob Dylan. And she was concerned that people would call me Dill and then Dill Pickle, and people would find a way to make fun of me. I'm like, kids would have made fun of me for any reason, because kids make fun of each other all the damn time. So but the reason that she wanted to call me Dylan Zimmerman is because his original name is Robert Zimmerman. So, but yeah, I don't think I've ever referred to Bob Dylan as Bobby. So there it is. You'll do Kash Patel too. If he gets it, I mean, we've already jumped the shark as a nation. But Kash Patel getting put in as FBI director is just mind-numbingly stupid. To me, the Kash Patel nomination was just about as stupid as the Matt Gaetz nomination. Or at least it was let's throw up this terrible person to everybody, let everybody bash him as the sacrificial lambs, or them as the sacrificial lambs, and then we'll appoint somebody who might still be crappy, but not as crappy. Again, that's what I also thought would have happened with RFK Jr., but maybe Trump made a deal with him simply because of the fact for his endorsement or whatever. So, yeah, Tim, Liberal Dylan Radio. I don't know if that would flow as well as Liberal Dan Radio. I mean, I wouldn't have Liberal Daniel Radio. And I don't think it would be Liberal Dill Radio. The Liberal Pickle Show. That's what it would have to be. Oh, Jolie is turtle toes. Oh, Jolie is having a work issue. Apparently, she had bad scheduling from her new boss, and she's trying to rectify that situation. But we'll see Jolie next show, I'm sure, or maybe sometime after there. Tulsi may not because she's funkin' nuts. So that too. I mean, they save the worst till the end. Usually, you want to save the best till the end. They absolutely save the worst till the end. So, when's Gabbert's hearing? I think it's probably tomorrow. I think. I don't know. But it's got to be soon, right? But, again, none of us were going to agree with any of Trump's picks. I mean, that's clear as day. Trump was never going to be like, here's a guy who happens to be a Democrat, but I think he would do a good job, so I'm going to pick him to do X because he's an expert, and I want experts in their fields, and I don't care what political party they're in. He would have never done that, clearly. He wants people who are going to be sycophants and who are going to be beholden to him and who will do his bidding. But that being said, I'm not sitting here complaining about Marco Rubio. I think Marco Rubio got confirmed 98-0 or something like that. Or maybe it was 98-2. I don't know. Marco Rubio got confirmed overwhelmingly. I think even Pat Bondi might have gotten 2/3 of the Senate. So enough Democrats were like, you know what? Let's pick our battles. We'll let you have her. Whatever. even though, again, she is also terrible. But all of Trump's picks were going to be terrible. But again, I'm not going to waste my time complaining about Marco Rubio. I might mock him for being a little bitch boy, for, you know, having him be called Lil Marco during the 2016 presidential Republican primary by Donald Trump, and then, you know, kissing in the ring after he was called Lil Marco. Little thirsty man. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and just preemptively complain about him. If he does something bad, I'll point it out. If he does something that harms us, I'll definitely point it out. But I'm not going to sit here and worry and try and fight somebody who is a reasonable pick in the realm of Trump's picks. You fight. I mean, we argued against the Pete Hegseth one. That one was terrible. We're arguing against Gabbard and Kash Patel and RFK Jr. All those people we're still trying to fight against, and rightly so, because those people have nowhere near the qualifications required for the positions they've been hired for. I mean, do you really want the director of national intelligence to be beholden to Putin and, you know, to be a fan of Assad in Syria? You don't want that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So let's see. Yeah, I'm used to it. I know if I would ever get my American citizenship one of these days, I could show them my papers and shite. Let's see. Sane take. By me or somebody else? See, the attrition rate of the Trump picks will be predictable. Patel is bug-eyed crazy. I wouldn't insult bug-eyes like that. That's being mean to the bug-eyes. Trump took away General Milley's security detail, and Gestapo is going to take away some of his stars. I hope the current military takes note. Well, yeah, because for somebody who is in the military, Pete Hegseth sure doesn't support the military. At least in the way that he should, at least the way that somebody should. See, MSNBC evening lineup are the only ones not backing off and keeping track of all the evil Trump has instituted so far. Yeah, but even then, half of the MSNBC evening lineup get things wrong. Like Lawrence. Right? Not a big fan of Lawrence O'Donnell and how he's screwed the pooch so many times that he's proven himself not to be trustworthy. But there's some videos in that. I don't have to beat that dead horse again. So, again, yeah, they will be confirmed. I mean, I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'm going to sit here and think that maybe there's enough Republicans with a little bit of sense to frickin' go against RFK Jr. Maybe. Again, I'm not totally buying it, but maybe. Maybe some Republican who knows they're not running again will be like, I can't support this MFer. We can't support this guy. I did want to talk about one thing, I guess. One fun thing that I wanted to talk about that I keep getting reminded of, because Hal actually followed me over on Twitch the other day, which is awesome. I guess so he could, much more easily do a raid, but, our shows didn't sync up well enough. Again, maybe I need to start earlier. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But I've been starting at 8 for so long, my time, it would seem weird to then jump to like 7:30. I don't want to go all earlier to 7, because if I go to 7, then I'm definitely overlapping with Hal, and I don't want to do that either. So, again, I think we should all be coordinating. All of this kind of sparkler family should all be coordinating to have their shows at different times so that we don't overlap each other. But wishful thinking, right? Some live in alternative facts. Yes. Unfortunately. Although I remember when the alternative facts thing came out, and I was like, I just sent an email, hashtag alternative facts, FAX instead of FACTS. So, let's switch this over here real quick. Let's bring this open. Let's mute this a quick second so it doesn't start playing automatically before we see it. But there's definitely one thing that I wanted to talk about and wanted to play about this administration and how dumb they are. Let's switch to the alternate view. Hopefully it plays because it's on a Facebook video and not YouTube. But here is a video from the first press conference, I guess, of his new press secretary, the youngest press secretary ever. We've talked about how Donald Trump's birthright executive order is in and of itself unconstitutional, but that's not what they think.
The folks that you mentioned have a right to have that legal opinion, but it is in disagreement with the legal opinion of this administration. This administration believes that birthright citizenship is unconstitutional, and that the folks that you mentioned.
Birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. So basically what they're saying is the 14th Amendment is unconstitutional. They're saying that the Constitution is unconstitutional. I mean, what the hell? Are they next going to be like, we want to institute slavery again, and we want to, and we think that the ban on slavery is unconstitutional, so slavery is going to be okay again? Like, what? Like, again, this is the thing that I will repeat ad nauseum. I mean, briefly, as much as I can, because one of the things that just frustrates me so much is that these people are so dumb. They are just so mind-numbingly stupid. And how are they able to win so much being this mind-numbingly stupid? Well, the answer is never underestimate the ability of stupid people in large groups to do things. Because I guess if you get enough stupid people in a room, they'll be able to get something done. It might not be efficient, it might not be well done, but it's going to be done, and it's probably going to be terrible. Much like Donald Trump and his swatting flies with hammers. And we'll be going more into that into the show. But anyway. Dumb. Bunch of dumbasses. I recorded that. I didn't even put an ending on that because it's just, ugh. If they asked me, that I would never shut up because I would say, couldn't just say one thing. Nice. Let's see. Ben Mac, that would have been good hearing question. Can you say one thing Trumpy was wrong about? Of course they won't, because Donald Trump would then rescind his nomination. Get him out of there. I don't want him confirmed anymore. He says I'm wrong on something, so therefore we're not going to confirm him anymore. Let's get somebody else. They're all going to kiss his ass. Nobody is going to stand up to Donald Trump. Nobody is going to tell Donald Trump, no, you can't do this. He actually had people in his first term when Donald Trump tried to do something and was like, no, you can't do this. This is not okay. And then he fired him. Then he got rid of them and tried to replace them with other people. That's why you didn't see Bill Barr last the entire term. That's why a lot of people dropped out right there towards the end, because they would not do his bidding. So now he's not making that, quote, mistake, and he's going to get a bunch of yes people. And they'll do whatever it is that he wants to do. And now he has a Congress and a Supreme Court to completely back him up. See, my forefather came here 1700 circa. I still immigrated from Europe. Nice. A plane crashed in the Potomac River. Where did they bury the survivors? Is that breaking news? Is that brand new? Let me see. Let me pull that up. The manga folks will probably be like, there was a plane that crashed in the Potomac River, and they clearly were going after Donald Trump. This is a liberal conspiracy to try and go after Donald Trump because they're trying to, attack him with planes or whatever. Like, it's probably some BS that they'll come up with as a conspiracy theory. Just watch it happen. Let's see. 31 minutes ago. Plane crashes into the... Let's see, the DC Police Department have a tweet about it. See, as we're waiting for this to load, Mad Mac, yeah, I agree. They also have quota about how many times they have to use the phrase President Trump in a sentence. They will always kiss his arse unless it is a secret poll. Pretty much. They have no idea what is in the Constitution regarding citizenship. No, they don't. And again, we have videos on that as well. We have videos explaining why their arguments, trying to explain why, these people are not subject to a jurisdiction is ridiculous. Because it falls apart immediately when they start saying that the people are here illegally. If they're here illegally, guess what? Then that means they're under our jurisdiction. If they're under our jurisdiction, guess what? Their children are citizens at birth. It's as very simple as that. But the manga idiots won't understand it and can't understand it. Not one bit. So, yeah. Let's see, Steve. I always thought the Emperor Had No Clothes was a teaching fable. No, not so much, it turns out. Well, I mean, you would think that The Boy Who Cried Wolf was a teaching fable as well. But is it? Because the Republicans seem to think that The Boy Who Cried Wolf tells you the lesson. If somebody lies, you have to keep believing them, because someday they might tell the truth. And what if they tell the truth? That's the MAGA The Boy Who Cried Wolf moral. Of course, it's not the real moral, but you know, it is what it is. Maybe when I get the new laptop set up, I'll also have a soundboard. We'll see. Every one of us has to leave the U.S. Unfortunately, the problem with that is that if the people of means can leave the U.S., if we're able to do so, we're leaving behind the people without the means, and we're forcing them to suffer even more. Although I'm not going to disparage, disgruntle, or otherwise speak out against anybody who's in an oppressed or marginalized group. I'm not going to be critical of them if they do decide that it is right for them to leave the country for somewhere else. Because I will never tell somebody who's hell. Me being Jewish, I feel like I'm under threat, but I still think I'm. You don't look at me. Most people don't look at me and be like, "Oh, that guy Dan, he's clearly Jewish," but you know, I'm not going to begrudge other people from doing things for their own safety. Just the problem is that if enough of us do that, we leave the rest of people behind, and it becomes even more dangerous for them. So. See, not for the dumb maggots. I cannot believe the rubbish they believe. When normal people say WTF, maggots will get t-shirts printed. Yeah, pretty much. And look at t-shirts. Like Trump said about grabbing people by the hoo-ha, and Republican women were wearing t-shirts saying Trump can grab me by the hoo-ha all he wants. Well, that's consent, technically. You're giving consent. But conservatives don't understand consent. I called into a different conservative talk show this afternoon. I was surprised they took me. Because they're even more out there than I think the Jeff Carrera show is, and the Ringside Politics show. And I started off the call by getting them to agree with me, because I was like, you know how people, I disagree with the idea that if you don't support the items in the Patriot Act, that you are somehow not a patriot. And I got them to say amen. And I'm like, oh, I got them. I got these guys. I was like, so why is it that some people believe that if I don't believe, that I cannot be supportive of America while opposing things under the so-called America First agenda? They probably were like, God damn it, he got us. And then I asked them the other question, which is the fact that she was on that show basically saying that Donald Trump, by winning the presidency, deserves to have all of his cabinet picks confirmed. And I'm like, no. I mean, nobody deserves to have all of their cabinet picks, confirmed. Easy for me to say. They deserve to have a hearing, but the Senate gets to both advise and consent. If it was just advise, then maybe I'd agree with you, but then you wouldn't need the confirmation vote to begin with. Or if it was just advised, maybe you would have a vote on whether or not the Senate agrees with it, and then the president would make his decision based on whether or not the Senate had enough votes in the Senate for him to justify the appointment. That would be if it was only advised, but it's advised and consent. They're free to not consent to people. And if somebody, like maybe a Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, who is typically a terrible person, but occasionally does the right thing, he actually voted to convict Donald Trump on articles of impeachment. And that's why a lot of Republicans in Louisiana are targeting him right now and are trying to get him to be replaced with another Republican in the next election cycle for his seat, which I think takes place in the next federal elections 2 years from now. But he, and I think Mitt Romney, had the spine to actually stand up against Donald Trump and vote yes on the articles of impeachment on the issue. I don't think it was on the perfect phone call or whatever, but it was on the January 6th issues and his helping and aiding and abetting the domestic terrorists, insurrectionists that acted that day, that he has since pardoned. So Jeff Curry, favorite fart joke. Why do farts stink so deaf people can enjoy the farts do? There is a funny like thing from somebody who taught a class for exceptional kids, and I guess one of the kids was deaf or whatever, and um, like didn't know that farts, you could hear farts. So he let one out, and apparently a lot of the kids were laughing, and it's like, why are they laughing? I was like, because they heard you fart, and he was like, people could hear farts, and was just mortified that people could hear them. But yeah, people, I guess somebody who doesn't have a hearing disability might not even think about the fact that they might not realize that even though they might feel it coming out, they might not, they might not understand that, oh, well, maybe other people can hear what's going on even though I can't. So, anyway. Roxanne had to send, eat a bunch of French onion soup and get back to me. What did Roxanne say? I don't know. I kind of missed that. I don't know. I think I missed that train of thought. I'm on live chat too, so there's that. So I didn't miss it that way. So, Jeff, never been offended. Was embarrassed one time in the fall of '91. Was it that bad that it was referred to as the fall? Sorry, bad joke. Squeaky chair. Let's see. Cosmic Rose. She asks, or she says, my Mercury is conjunct Uranus. Nice. Cosmic Rose asks, are you on Blue Sky too? I am. Liberal Dan Radio on Blue Sky, and will always prefer Twitch. And also, Cosmic Rose, that's why they started homeschooling, and now we have a generation of uneducated voters. Yep, pretty much. Although we almost were tempted to homeschool because of the fact that they were not being responsible enough in the schools when they were trying to get us back into the classrooms during the COVID-19 pandemic. And my wife is immunocompromised, and as such, is put at risk if these little vectors of transmission who are not being vaccinated are allowed to freely go back to school. So, I guess I missed those couple of things. So, there's that. What else we're going to talk about today? Let's talk about this. This could be a fat man rant, but it won't be because I have two already incoming, and we'll do that in a second. The Ohio, I'm sorry, not Ohio. Idaho Republican legislators are calling on SCOTUS to reverse same-sex marriage ruling. We all knew this was coming because we went over Dobbs v. Jackson on the podcast twice. When it was leaked, we went over the main ruling, and then after it was released finally, we went over the concurrences and the concurrences and the dissents that were not published with the leaked main ruling. And again, one of the things that made me feel really good about myself was the fact that during the concurrence, while we were reading like Kagan's dissent, while reading that dissent, Leonard Kagan was making the same points that I made while I was dissenting after it was leaked in the first place. So, even though I'm not an attorney, I'm not educated in the law, I at least have a good enough understanding of the law and what goes on with the Constitution to know that Justice Alito made some horrible arguments in that ruling. But then we all saw that Justice Thomas, in his concurrence, didn't just talk about Roe v. Wade in Dobbs v. Jackson in his concurrence. He talked about other things like Griswold v. Connecticut and the other birth control pill ruling. He talked about Loving versus Virginia. Dude, if you don't want to be married to your wife still, just get a freaking divorce. You don't have to overturn an entire Supreme Court precedent just to get out of your marriage to your horrible wife. They deserve each other, but still. But he also talked about Lawrence v. Texas and Obergefell v. Hodges, and basically said that all of those were not ruled on correctly according to him, and so we knew that was on the chopping block. So he knew that he set up the way to attack these other rights that have been protected in our jurisprudence in stare decisis. But we have 5 people on SCOTUS who don't agree with or understand or even want to follow stare decisis to keep existing rulings going on. The Idaho House passed a resolution on Monday. Let's see if we can open the resolution, calling on the Supreme Court to reconsider its 2015 decision on same-sex marriage equality. The court's Albertville v. Hodges decision established the right to same-sex marriage. Resolution comes after Justice Clarence Thomas expressed interest in revisiting Albertville during his Dobbs v. Jackson concurrence. We already said all that. Thomas, who gave a dissent in Albertville, wrote in 2022, in future cases, we should consider all of this court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell, because any substantive due process decision is demonstrably erroneous. We have a duty to correct the error established in those precedents. Lawrence v. Texas overturned criminalizing same-sex sexual contact, and of course, as I said, Griswold v. Connecticut overturned state restrictions on the use of contraceptions. So let's look at the wording. The legislature of the state of Ohio. To the Supreme Court of the United States, we, your memorialists, the House of Representatives and Senate and the state of Idaho, assembled in the first regular session of the 68th Idaho legislature, do hereby respectfully represent that a whole bunch of crappy whereases. Actually, we should just read those to see how terrible that they are. We can flip to the alternate just to go over it as well. Let's make it a little larger. Whereas the decision by the Supreme Court is at odds with the Constitution. No, it's not. Whereas liberty has long been understood as individual freedom from governmental action, not as a right to a particular government entitlement. No. Individual liberty is the freedom to make your own decisions, including the ability to get married, especially if marriage is offered to other people. And guess what? If marriage is offered to opposite-sex couples, but not to same-sex couples, guess what? That's a violation of the 14th Amendment, because you're denying the ability of individuals to get the rights and privileges that other citizens of the United States have within your states. So clearly it is constitutional. They just use the Constitution as toilet paper and wipe their collective asses with it. Whereas Obergefell invokes the definition of, quote, liberty that the framers would not have recognized. Well, the framers would not have recognized black people as humans as well, because they kept slavery and counted them as 3/5 of a person. Looking at the founders isn't the way to always judge your life. The founders can suck it on many different times. Rejecting the idea captured in the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is not law. That human dignity is innate, and instead of suggesting that it comes from the government, well, if human dignity is innate, then you shouldn't be treating people as if they don't have dignity, including same-sex couples. Whereas the framers proclaimed in the Declaration, well, again, all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. Yes, and at least they quoted it correctly. Usually conservatives quoting the Declaration of Independence will say endowed by the creator instead of saying endowed by their creator, meaning that each individual is free to determine who their creator is. Their creator may be nature. Their creator may just simply be their parents, or their creator might be whatever God they choose to worship, or whatever at least God they had forced upon them as children by their parents. They referred to a vision of mankind which all humans are created in the image of God, therefore of inherent worth, except you're not considering them worthy of inherent worth, because you are trying to treat same-sex couples and individuals who are only going to participate in homosexual relationships, or even if they do participate in same-sex or opposite-sex relationships, because they might be bisexual or pansexual, they might still choose to marry somebody of the same gender, and as such, you are not treating those people equally or with dignity or as if they had worth. This is the type of argument that is made by the same people who want to say that people who get government assistance don't have dignity either. What the hell? It's bizarre. They have a bizarre definition of what, quote, dignity is. Obergefell relies on the dangerous fiction of treating the Due Process Clause to the Constitution as a font of substantive rights. Well, it's clear. Any privileges that a citizen have, you cannot deny to other people. It's very broad. It took away a lot of state power. 10th Amendment state powers were reduced by the 14th Amendment because they clearly denied the ability of the states to deny their citizens, or people at least living in their states who are not citizens but still have rights, It stops states from being able to trample on those rights, to trample on those abilities, to trample on individual liberties of people who they don't agree with. A doctrine that strays from the full meaning of the Constitution. Again, this is the whole same thing of them saying that the birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. Again, they're idiots. Whereas Obergefell's inversion of the original meaning of liberty causes collateral damage to other aspects of our constitutional order that protect liberty, including religious liberty, it doesn't. If you're a religious person, you don't have to get married to somebody of the same gender. You don't have to perform anywhere. No church should be required to perform marriages that are against that church's beliefs. But if you're getting a state marriage license, it's completely different. I always use the founder of Copeland's and Popeyes, which might be more recognizable to people outside of Louisiana. Al Copeland, who created Popeyes, had three or I think four different wives over the course of his life. The first wife he married in the Catholic Church. They got a divorce. He then married wife number 2. He then married wife number 3 after his second divorce. He then divorced his third wife and got married again to his fourth wife. However, his fourth wife in the eyes of the state. But his first wife had since passed away somewhere between 1 and 4. So, in the eyes of the government, Al Copeland was married 4 times. In the eyes of the Catholic Church, he was married twice. So when we're talking about marriage, we're talking about state-recognized marriages and not religious ones. Whereas the United States Supreme Court recognized in U.S. v. Windsor the definition of marriage as an area that has long been regarded as virtually exclusive province of the states, meaning that Idaho and not the Supreme Court has the right to regulate marriage. Yes, you have the right to regulate marriage all you want, as long as you do so within the constraints of the Constitution. Which means, yes, you can define marriage, what marriage means in your state, as long as you're not doing it in a way that denies people equal protection under the law and denies one set of people the ability to have the rights or whatever or privileges that other citizens would have in your state. I.e., you have to treat everybody in your state equally. You cannot deny one set of people the ability to take advantage of something that another set of people are able to do. Simple as that. Whereas Obergefell requires states to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples and to recognize same-sex marriages in complete contravention of their own state constitutions, the undermining of civil liberties of those, whatever. No, because again, there's the supremacy clause, and the federal government and the Constitution trumps little t the ability of states to discriminate against their own citizenry, especially with the passage of the 14th Amendment. Whereas marriage is an institution that has been recognized as the union of one man and one woman for more than 2,000 years, blah, 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 blah. Marriage was also recognized as the union between one man and one woman of the same race for a long time as well. And that changed via Loving. Of course, Clarence Thomas believes that Loving was also improperly founded and improperly passed, and the same people that oppose gay marriage made this. The arguments against same-sex marriage were also used against people who wanted interracial marriage. So no, they should be 100% full-throated and be consistent. Of course, they never will be consistent. But if they want to make the argument of what marriage has always been recognized as, they should just come out and say marriage has been recognized as between one man and one woman of the same race, and let it go there and then see how that falls. But again, they're not going to do that because hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite. Whereas Obergefell arbitrarily unjustly rejected the definition. No, it did it unjustly. It did it so under the meaning of the 14th Amendment, you bunch of dumbasses. Supreme Court rulings are not laws. No, they're not laws, but they have judicial precedent. They create precedent, and they overturn your laws when they're unconstitutional. And the laws of the land, or in the particular states in question, are unconstitutional if they deny people equal protection under the law. So there you go. You're a bunch of dumbasses. Now, therefore, be it resolved that members of the first regular session, blah, 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 rejects the Obergefell decision, or Obergefell decision. Be it further resolved that legislature calls on Supreme Court to reverse it. Be it further resolved that Idaho's... and restore the definition of marriage, a union of one man and woman. Again, hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite. They're not just asking them to reverse Obergefell. They're asking them to restore the natural definition of marriage, whatever they want to believe it is. So they're wanting them to create law. So they don't have a problem if the Supreme Court creates law if it supports their worldview. They just have a problem if they don't like the new, quote, law that's created. Just like this, I'm sure they have no problem with the fact that the Supreme Court manufactured like total and complete immunity of the whole thing. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. There you go. Anyway, there you go. Aaron, Popeyes is about a mile from me, but I guarantee you the Popeyes that's a mile from you does not have as good chicken as the Popeyes that's a half mile from me, because Louisiana Popeyes just hits different. Yeah, the Republican Party, MJ Daniel, is full of examples of their respect for marriage. Oh, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is clearly an example of the Republican real definition of marriage. I'm going to have one wife. I'm going to cheat on wife number one with wife number two. Then I'm going to cheat on wife number two, I'm sure. Then I'm going to cheat on wife number three with a porn star. But, you know, that's the sanctity of marriage. The guy you elect. You can't talk to me about the sanctity of marriage whilst voting for Donald Trump. You just can't do it because it's inconsistent. Of course, we don't expect Republicans to be consistent. But the problem is that while we just, that's just Republicans being Republicans, Democrats are then also required to be consistent or else they're called out by even people on our side of the media. I mean, I will call out a Democrat for being inconsistent. I will call out a Democrat for being a hypocrite. I will call out a Democrat when I think they're wrong. But I'll do that for Republicans too. I'm not going to sit here and just, baby the Republicans because I expect less of them. And therefore, I'm not going to be critical of them because I already know, that's just Republicans being Republicans. No, that's just BS. Say, Josh, if I was a senator, I would have asked RFK Jr. to sing Ring Around the Rosie. Then you should have asked him what it meant, and he probably would have no clue what it means. Blah, 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 blah. Popeyes is famous for the Cajun chicken sandwiches, I recall. I mean, that's rather new in the realm of Popeyes things. So, like, Popeyes had their chicken since, like, the 80s, but their chicken sandwich came out, I think, maybe during the pandemic, or maybe just before the pandemic, or maybe just after the pandemic. I remember one time our neighbors got a bunch when they first came out, and they were running out. So, and they went ahead and was like, Dan, you want a Popeyes chicken sandwich? We had an extra one. I'm like, abso-freaking-lutely, yes. So are Popeyes effectively colon cleansers? Not necessarily. I mean, it might be a colon cleanser. I don't know. I think I've had worse issues in that area when it comes to like McDonald's breakfast sandwiches than Popeyes. So yeah, Bobert is the female version. Yeah, exactly, Big Hook. What else are we going to rant about? What else do we want to, before we get to the rants? This can be a short rant, I guess. Wingstop is good. I don't like Wingstop. I'm very picky about. I don't like their sauces. Their fries are disgusting. Popeye's fries are far superior than Wingstop. And yeah, I don't know. There's much. I'd rather go to Buffalo Wild Wings than Wingstop. Of course, Buffalo Wild Wings, of course, I think there was something out there that said that Buffalo Wild Wings supported Trump in Project 2025. I would need to do more research on that before coming down on them for it, but still, not a big fan. What else was I going to say about, that was something, one of the things that has driven me crazy about Popeyes, though, is we used to go to Popeyes all the time back when I lived in Maryland because we loved their onion rings, and I would still love their onion rings, how they initially were to this day. Unfortunately, what would happen is sometimes you'd end up going to Popeyes, you would get onion rings, and you would order onion rings, and they'd be, I'm sorry, we're out of onion rings for the day. And, oh well, I'd still get my chicken and go on my merry way. But Popeyes was like, oh, well, because we keep running out of this, because they're handmade, they were freshly handmade, so you couldn't just freeze them. So they would make them real quick, fry them, and then once they were out for the day. So here's the thing. So their conclusion of that was not to improve their process. Their conclusion was, we're going to make frozen crappy onion rings. So then people stopped ordering them. So then they took them off the menu. Most Popeyes did. There was one Popeyes that was close to me that still served the original fresh ones until one day I ordered it. And I came home. I usually like to eat like Popeyes while watching football games. And I pulled out the onion ring. I ate it, and I was like, what the hell? I called them up immediately. I was like, did y'all change from the fresh ones to the fresh onion rings to the frozen ones? They were like, yeah, we were told that we had to. We could no longer make the fresh ones. It's like, I wish you would have told me, because that's the only reason I come to y'all. There's a closer Popeyes than that one, but I went to the one further away because they had the good onion rings. So again, this is one of the problems with corporate America. Is just simply that the solution to their problem is never correct. Like, that's a dumb solution. So, oh my God, I hope they didn't call them crawdad tails. I don't think I've seen crawfish tails in a very long time at Popeyes, but crawfish, not crawdad. Of course, me being in Louisiana, I'm picky. My younger son called them crayfish the other day. I'm like, whose son are you? Where did you come from? And where did you put Henry? Because it's crawfish, not crayfish. I think it was Missouri that had a problem. It was either Missouri or Michigan. It wasn't the M state. One of the M states that kind of are in the middle of the country, where apparently somebody brought some Louisiana crawfish with them up to boil and have a crawfish boil in their hometown or whatever. And some of them got loose and they started invading the waterways. And so they had to have people come out and come get the crawfish. And I was like, man, y'all are missing out if you don't have these yummy, delicious crawfish. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. Let's make sure I'm not missing anything before I get to something good. Yeah, let's go ahead and switch to this screen, because it's time. It is time for the Liberal Den Radio Fat Man Rant. We'll try and remember to put them. Oh, before I do that, actually, I keep wanting to talk about something. Hal, during the end of his show, I don't know if you saw my message to him, but Hal at the end of his show today started singing "Hunger Strike" by Temple of the Dog, and that's one of the songs. If y'all heard about the Cox Communications cable employee that got shot and killed. It's somebody that I knew. It's somebody that I used to do karaoke with, and it was a very tragic death. A lot of my friends were much closer to him and were much more affected by the loss than him, even though I did sing at karaoke in one of the times we went to karaoke recently as a kind of remembrance to Adam, to AJ. I did sing Eric Clapton's the Tears in Heaven. And I almost started crying in the middle of the damn thing because, especially when one of his friends come up and gave me a hug during like the instrumental and was, liking that or whatever, the fact that I was singing the song, and apparently I sang it well. However, and then I saw his mom crying about it, and I was almost crying too, and I gave her a big hug or whatever, and I asked her permission first before singing it because I didn't want to be cruel and ask her and be like, start singing Tears in Heaven and then having her bawling and then being mad at me. So I let her have the decision or whatever. But I do like to go karaoke. If any of y'all come to New Orleans and want to spend time with me and want to do it, I would love to go karaokeing with y'all. With any of y'all that come down, it would be a fun thing to do. Liberal Dan karaoke or whatever. But Hal started singing "Hunger Strike" by Temple of the Dog, and that's one of the songs I actually sang with AJ. That it was one of my fond memories of him. And I think Hal would probably have an easier time doing the Chris Cornell's part, where I would then do the Eddie Vedder part, because I think Hal can hit the high notes better than I can. There's only one or two Chris Cornell songs that I can do in karaoke, and even then, sometimes I miss the high parts. But he was singing Temple of the Dog, and I thought I messaged Hal Sparks, or I messaged him in the chat. I was like, I would love to sing this with you with karaoke one day. And, of course, I would be doing the Eddie Vedder parts like, I don't mind stealing bread from the mouth of decadence, but I can't feed on the powerless when my cup's already overfilled. but it's on the table, the fire's cooking. Anyway, that's, I don't know, I don't remember every single lyric of the song. There's I'm going hungry, yeah. But then, you know, the Chris Cornell part comes in. It's like, I'm going hungry. And no, I would murder it in a bad way. So, but yeah, I would love to be able to do that with Hal or anybody else that can sing the Chris Cornell part. Even though there are some songs that I've hit high parts to, even with one of Chris Cornell's one, with Audio Slave, I do Like a Stone. And I used to not be able to do Like a Stone until one time I was driving Uber or Lyft, and I had a conversation with the person in the backseat who happened to be a singer, and me and her were talking about, you know, karaoke and songs I like to sing, and I'm like, there's some songs that I just can't do. I'm just missing the note that I'm trying to get, and one of the examples was the Audio Slave song with Like a Stone, and because it starts off kind of low, but then he hits his high notes, whatever. And she said, the one thing, if you're trying to hit a high note and you don't think it's in your range, just try and overshoot the note, and then you'll hit it. And I did it, and it worked. Well, it works unless my throat's sore. Then it's everything's off the table. So then it's off the table. Sorry. Let's see. When I was in college, my class would do a small bar karaoke. Guy in class was a DJ. After a week, we started taking our own records. I think we closed the place in 3 months. Nice. Let's see. Is the snow still there in Louisiana right now? Most of it is definitely gone. There was a giant pile of snow that I guess they shoveled. This is how dumb some people are. They shoveled the snow into a pile, but the pile of snow went to one of the disabled space, the places for people with disabilities. So they blocked off a parking spot for people with disability to put the snow there. But that pile was still there, I think the last time I was at the hospital, which would have been yesterday. So I think that pile is still there, even though it got to 60 today. So there are still some areas that have like the big piles that all compacted, but most of the snow has disappeared because, again, we got to the 60s. It's supposed to be, I think tomorrow, either today or tomorrow, it's supposed to be 69 degrees, so it's crazy. Let's see, I could nail most Three Doors Down songs until they played for Trump's inauguration. Done with that crap. Yeah, I really didn't want to have to sing an Eric Clapton song because of him being an anti-vaxxer and him, you know, being, you know, on the conservative line of things. However, I figured I would do that song simply because of the fact that it was, you know, about a child dying. So it seemed reasonable to sing. Impeccable Living. Did my Venmo go through? I don't know how to get the notifications yet to be able to show on the stream that I've been Venmo'd. I haven't quite found out how to do that. Maybe when I set up my computer, I will try and find that. Oh, wow. Yes, it did go through. Thank you so much, Impeccable Living. You are amazing. I appreciate you so much for that. That is awesome. Thank you so much. And again, with Venmo, you know, I get everything of it as long as you send friends and family. And if you don't send friends and family, I lose a chunk. But it's definitely the second most way to get more bang for your buck. You know, to actually get me some money, and in some cases, that's, if you want to give a larger sum, that's the best way to do it is to Venmo me. However, you know, again, just to remind you, let's do, I guess we're almost at 9:30. It's almost halfway through the show. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Mondays and Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central here on liberaldanradio.com and twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. We have a new way to support the show for the next 29 days at this point, which is to download the game that I've pinned in both the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat. It is a link to a game that is called Best Fiends. I guess I can put the image back up there again. And I do a Nerdy Dan podcast or Nerdy Dan stream on Tuesdays where I'm doing just gaming. And so that's the little widget that they have for it. And it's free to download, free to play. You don't have to pay any money. And each person, if you have 30 days or so to get up to level 300, I did 50 in a day. I'm not expecting you to do 50 a day, but if you did like, 10 a day for 30 days, you'd easily be able to make that goal. That being said, if you did want to spend money on the game, if you do spend $2.99, the first 18 people who do so not only get me $4, so your $3 gives me $4, and also it causes a gift subscription to take place at the end of the campaign, so that up to 50 people can get gifted subscriptions if you do it. Now, look, if we ever get close to that, if we get close to the 50, I'll let you all know that it's gotten to the point where, you're not going to get additional bang for your buck for this, because I think I do get over $3 on a gifted subscription as well. So again, it's more bang for the buck if you decide to make an in-game purchase. It could be larger than $2.99 if you want, but it only has to be $2.99 to get me the $4 and the gifted subscription on Twitch. Or not gift me it, but it gifts other people who are already following the channel to get those subscriptions for a month. So again, it's a cheap free way. It's a cheap way or free way for most of the people to help support the show, and it's a fun little game. I'm not gonna lie. I would sit there and play it just if nothing to do, sitting on the can or whatever. I have no problem swiping through games or whatever and doing that. But otherwise, if you don't feel like playing a game, I fully understand. You could also do all the other free ways of helping the show, like videos, comment on videos. I've seen some of y'all doing that already, which in the past few weeks, it's been great that y'all do that. If you don't have the time to do it, again, I also understand. It's perfectly fine. But it's just one of many ways. Comment on videos, engage with other people on videos, get the algorithms up, because Al Gore needs more rhythm. And it would be great if I make that shirt eventually, and then all of a sudden I happen to bump into Al Gore, and I would then have to be like, well, it's a joke that I say on my show. Which stems from the original joke that I made when everyone was joking around about Al Gore saying that he invented the internet. I was like, of course Al Gore created the internet, because the internet is based on code, and all code is based on an Al Gore rhythm. So I've heard other people make that joke since then. I'm convinced that I made the joke first. So I take claim to it. I stick my flag in that joke and claim it as mine. So, anywho. Anyway, but you can also gift other people memberships. You can, buy super chats, super stickers. You can gift subscriptions. Mad Mac did gift 5 Liberal Dan Radio memberships, so 5 additional people are Liberal Danimals for the month, thanks to the generosity of Mad Mac. Impeccable Living also became a Liberal Danimal today, so I appreciate all for that support, and of course I appreciate the Venmo as well. You're awesome for that. Thank you so much. That'll help pay off the laptop a little bit, because it was a little bit more pricey than I wanted to pay, but the cheaper version that I paid was not going to do it. It would have made the podcast go downhill fast. I would have had to buy a new one anyway, so hopefully they'll return some of the money to me, or most of the money to me. I don't expect a full refund because it is an open box type thing. I expect that there might be some sort of restocking fee or something, but if I get everything back, it'll be awesome too. Thank you, Impeccable Living, gifting 5 memberships as well. You're so awesome. Let's see. Aaron, I got through 30 levels in a couple of hours, and I'm not that good. It's an easy game. Yeah, I mean, it's not an intense game for most people. Even some of the other games that I've done have been like, there's like puzzle matching and then other things. This is just puzzle matching, and maybe I think you also might upgrade some of your characters, whatever. That might be one thing where that's not puzzle making, but it shows you what you need to do. It shows you how to do it, and again, it's mostly free. If you want it to be totally free, you can be, and play as much as you can. If you get to level 300 by the end of 30 days, perfect. And you get me a little chunk of extra cash. If you don't, then again, it's fine too. However far you get, fine by me. Perfectly fine by me. So we got Tabby, Jeremy, William, Rock, Jim the Geek, and Gordon Knott, who all got gifted memberships. So thank you for that, and I'm sure they'll be thankful as well. See, I really enjoy the Megatron fan YouTube videos from Universal Studios, Insults Galore. Yeah, those are great. I love the fact that there are places that will allow you that will allow the employees to just absolutely go brutal and insult the people with their bad guy characters. That is amazing that happens. One of the other things that's oh, I forgot to ask the teacher a question. I should have asked the teacher one of the other questions that I wanted to ask. I just thought of it because I saw the megabits per second on my on the stream quality, which is, I have 9,000 megabits per second towards Twitch, but only 6,000 towards YouTube. But my son had a question about that. Anyway, anywho, but we were going to go into a Fat Man rant, a shorter one this time, where the Liberal Dan Radio presents Fat Man Rants. Anyway, we'll have the real one, you know, when I do this. But Republican Representative Rich McCormick suggested that students should get jobs to pay for their lunches. Like, you should go work for McDonald's if you want to pay for your lunches. Basically saying that all these kids are, I guess, freeloaders, and they shouldn't be fed during the day, that it doesn't matter who their, you know, parents are, if their parents are wealthy, if their parents are poor, if they can't afford to pay for lunches. Screw those kids, right? Screw those little freeloaders, according to the GOP, according to the MAGA folks. You know, so any of y'all who voted for Donald Trump, if your kids qualify for and get free school lunches, then they don't care about you. And I hope you sit there and I hope you understand what your vote did. Because I have no qualms in saying that this is something that's realistic, that could happen, and that probably will happen, especially with all the funding crap that has gone on. You know, his blanket thing. You know, again, the theme of this show is that Donald Trump is swatting flies with hammers. So the other day, he basically wanted to stop, like, pretty much all federal funding for almost, like, programs and grants and everything. And that caused the people to be like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to lose my job. So there's no guidance in this order. His orders are not well thought out. They're just blanket statements to just quash everything and then see what breaks, and then we'll return it later if it's broken. That's not the way you do things. You don't just start, you don't fix a car by taking all the parts out. You fix the car by diagnosing the problem and then fixing the part of the car that needs to be fixed. But that's not how he's doing it. Again, he's swatting flies with hammers. And so he's going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. He's going to make it so that, or these Republicans now want to make it so that these kids won't be able to get food at school. Getting food at school and being able to be nourished and not be hungry during the day is one of the main things you could do to help these people, help these kids learn better, because you learn better if you're not starving. And many of these people can't afford the food. And one of the things that has been great that this federal government had been doing, and that states can apply for, local school districts can apply for, is simply the fact that if you live in an area that has a large amount of people who would qualify for free student lunch, you don't have to force all of the people in the school to have to fill out applications and jump through hoops, because a lot of these people may not be knowledgeable of how to do that. They may not be able to have the time or the understanding of what needs to be done to be able to qualify for school lunches. So if you have enough people in the area that would normally qualify for these school lunches, they've made it so that the schools can just say, we just want to have a blanket grant for these school lunches, and as such, they'll be able to get everybody in the school, regardless of their ability to pay, school lunches, which again is great to do, because no kid should have to spend their Make-A-Wish or use a Make-A-Wish to try and pay off school lunch balances. Kids shouldn't have to worry about whether or not they're able to eat or not. So allowing a kid to get breakfast and lunch at a school at least gives them 2 well-balanced meals of the day. Now, I remember school lunches. Not all of them were the best. Some of them are horrible. Some of them are good. I remember fondly enjoying the little bread tangles of pizza. But regardless, I had to pay for it because we didn't qualify for for free school lunches. It might have been better on my mom, who had a limited income, but was still too much for, you know, to qualify for that assistance. It would have been better if everyone would have just gotten free lunch, and then you don't have to worry about it. You eliminate the bureaucracy of the whole thing and just make one form that each school fills out. Boom, there you go, done. But apparently the MAGA folks view these little kids as freeloaders and expect them to go to work. So I guess we're going to see little 8-year-old Timmy going into school and having in his McDonald's uniform because he has to leave school and then go flip fries. Because people with 8-year-old mentalities can at least flip fries. We know that because we saw Donald Trump doing the fries at a McDonald's. So if Donald Trump can do it, an 8-year-old can do it. But it's absolutely absurd that they're coming after the most vulnerable of us. And that's how they do this. That's how they win, by attacking the most vulnerable of us so that they are harmed. So if this were able to come to pass, I hope it affects all the people that voted for Trump first. Although in reality, I really don't hope it affects anybody, because it's not the kids' fault that their parents voted for Donald Trump in the first place. The kids shouldn't be punished because their parents voted for a moron. So no, I really don't hope. I generally hope that all of the harms that Donald Trump is going to do is going to hit his supporters first. Those kids aren't supporters. Those kids are victims of their parents' crappy voting behavior. And they shouldn't be punished. But if the MAGA folks have their way, there will be. Which is why Hillary Clinton back in 2016 called half of the people who are MAGA a basket of deplorables. And in reality, at this point, it's more than half. What do you think? Agree, disagree? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and of course, have a good day. Unless you're a Nazi. Almost forgot the unless you're a Nazi part. Hey, it's Jolie. Jolie's back. Good to see you. Thank you for coming back. I hope your future issues with scheduling for the new manager become better for you and what you need for anything in your life, not just for modding here, but I hope they're able to deal with anything you might deal with and give you a better schedule. So I wish nothing but good things for Jolie and the Mod Squad, and for anybody who watches Liberal Dan Radio, Talk From Left, That's Right, regularly. See, Minnesota has the best test scores right now because Tim Walz gives kids breakfast and lunch and with snacks to take home for later. That's great. That's wonderful, and that's all based on a federal program, because federally you're allowed to do those. You're allowed to get those grants, so you're allowed to fully give everybody in school food for breakfast and for lunch. And again, kids should not be punished because their parents are in poverty. Kids should not be punished because their parents voted for a dumbass like Donald Trump. And this is why I'm ranting. This is why I'm sure my Fat Man Rant playlist is going to have tons of videos, much more than it had previously, because this administration is going to give me plenty of opportunities to do a Fat Man Rant. Of course, you know, I'd rather not. As I said before, I'd rather have a boring podcast for the next 4 years than have an exciting one with lots of stuff to talk about. I'd rather just sit here and talk about fun stuff like karaoke for 3 hours a day or whatever. I mean, maybe people wouldn't watch, or at least talk about, you know, other issues that we need to work on to make ourselves better. But right now, we need to stop the hemorrhaging. The triage needs to take place. But we're going to be continuing to hemorrhage more and more and more until it's too late, or until we can at least stop the bleeding by electing a Democratic Congress in the next 2 years. I'm not going to pin this link in the channel, but one of the things I did want to share is something from the opm.gov, something that is called the Fork in the Road. I will put it in both chats on YouTube and Twitch, and we will talk about, this is going to be the next subject of the next Fat Man Rant. We'll just go one rant after another, shall we? Let's bring this up over here so it'd be easier to kind of read and be a little more at eye level Might not be able to see your chats for a second, so if I don't respond to you, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I shouldn't have sing that song. I don't like Bryan Adams. You've all heard that story. If you haven't heard that story, I can talk about it later. But, oh, wait, we need to go to Fat Man Rant screen again because we're doing another Fat Man Rant. All right. As we all know, the Trump administration is trying to get 5 to 10% of the federal workforce to resign, to quit, to leave early. And he's doing so under what in the link in the chat is the fork in the road. Basically, they want 4 pillars to be in this new federal workforce that is reformed. 1, they want people to return to office. I'll have another rant about that in a little bit. 2, they want performance culture, as if people aren't performing their duties properly. 3, they want a more streamlined and flexible workforce. Streamlined isn't necessarily great if it means what people view as streamlining is oftentimes trying to, again, swat flies with hammers and enhance standards of conduct. This is probably one of the most damning part of it. The federal workforce should be comprised of employees who are reliable, loyal, trustworthy, and who strive for excellence in their daily work. Loyal. They want people who are going to be loyal, not to the government, not to the country, not to their oaths that they take when they're serving, but loyal to Donald Trump. That's what he wants. We already knew. We all knew that was coming. We all knew that they wanted to get rid of civil servants, to get rid of what they call the so-called deep state, and to only have people who are loyal to the president and who are not going to be, beholden to, all these complicated things like, the oaths that they take to the Constitution and, the government as a whole and to the nation that they've been serving for years and years and years. So what they say, if you choose to remain in your current position, we thank you for your renewed focus, blah, blah, blah. At this time, we cannot give you full assurance regarding the certainty of your position or agency, but should your position be eliminated, you'll be treated with dignity and afforded protections in place for such positions. BS, don't believe you, F you. But here's the other part. If you choose to not continue in your current role in the federal workforce, we thank you for your service, for your country, and will be provided with a dignified, fair departure from the federal government, utilizing a deferred resignation program. This program begins effective January 28th and is available to all federal employees until February 6th, so they're giving a very short time to respond to this BS. If you resign under this program, you will retain all pay and benefits regardless of your daily workload, i.e. they'll probably have you sit home doing nothing. Kind of like, people who get paid, but are not played in the NFL or whatever. At least that's what they want you to believe. And then that will be the case through September 30th, 2025, supposedly, or earlier if you choose to accelerate your resignation for any reason. The details of the separation plan can be found below. Whichever path you choose, we thank you for your service, blah, 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 blah. Upon review of the deferred resignation letter, you select reply to this email, and then it has to be it can't be from anything other than a .gov or .mil account, and type the word resign and hit send. The last day to accept the deferred resignation is February 6th, and the deferred resignation letter goes as follows. Please accept this letter as my formal resignation from employment with my employment agency effective September 30th, 2025. I understand I have the right to accelerate but not extend my resignation date if I wish to take advantage of the deferred resignation program. I understand that if I am or become eligible for earlier normal retirement before my resignation date, that I retain the right to elect earlier normal retirement once eligible, blah, blah, blah. Given my impending resignation, I understand I will be exempt from any return to office requirements pursuant to recent directives, blah, blah, blah. I'll maintain my current compensation, supposedly, and retain all existing benefits, supposedly, including but not limited to retirement accruals, until that resignation date. I am certain of my decision to resign, and my choice is fully voluntary. BS, they're being forced out. I understand my employing agency will likely make adjustments in response to my resignation, including moving, eliminating, consolidating, reassigning my position and tasks, reducing my official duties and/or placing me on paid administrative leave until my resignation date. I'm committed to ensuring a smooth transition during my time remaining during my employing agency. Accordingly, I will assist my employing agency with any completing reasonable customary tasks and process to facilitate my departure, which is, again, another load of BS, and I'll tell you why in a second. I understand that my acceptance of this offer will be sent to OPM, blah, blah, blah. Upon submission of resignation, you will receive confirmation that we've received your email. Any replies to this email shall be for the exclusive use of accepting the deferred resignation letter, blah, blah, blah. Once your resignation is validly sent and received, the Human Resources Department will contact you to complete any additional documentation, blah, 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 blah. Lots of blah, 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 blah. So, anybody working for the feds who received this email, I would first recommend that you speak to an attorney immediately before making any decision on this. You shouldn't have to, but you should. Why? Because personally, I wouldn't do it. First of all, I question the legality of it all. I question the legality of whether or not he'd actually put people on administrative leave at this level and continue to pay them regardless of whether or not they want them to work for him or not. You know, if you resign, you could very well lose all your civil service protections. And that's probably what they're hoping for. They're probably hoping that you just buy that they're being truthful to you. They're hoping that you will just accept what they're saying at face value and that, you know, you will get paid through September 30th. But here's one of the problems with what's going on with this. The people elected Donald Trump, who voted for Donald Trump, say in part that they like Donald Trump because he runs government, or he would run government like a business. But we all know how Donald Trump runs businesses, don't we? We've seen examples, plenty of examples, where he took, you know, people's, you know, he paid people a little bit of money to do a task for him, like for his casino, and then he didn't pay them the full amount that he agreed to pay them. And then when he didn't pay them that amount, he said, sue me. And so instead of suing, they would basically take some settlement offer, which was less than the initial agreed upon price. I have no doubt in my mind that that's going through Donald Trump's head right now. I have no doubt in my mind that Donald Trump's going to be like, I'm going to get these people to resign. They're going to lose their civil service protections by resigning officially. And then we're not going to pay them. We'll let them go 2-3 months down the road. And what are they going to do? Sue the federal government? Even if they got a class action lawsuit going against the federal government, again, you don't get fully reimbursed for a class action settlement. You'll get pennies on the dollar. And you have to pay the attorneys out of it. And because, you know, what are your chances of suing the government anyway? Sovereign immunity defends them or protects them from a good bit. So the only way that I would accept this is if I get all the money up front. But even if you get all of the pay up front that you would be due, you're not going to get the benefits. You might lose benefits month 1, month 2, month 4, month 6. And I'm sure some stupid Facebook fact checker or other fact checkers in the media are going to be like, well, there's nothing in the letter that says that they could be fired, and he says that he won't, that they'll continue getting their compensation. But what if they're asked to do things that are unreasonable for their jobs, but they label as customary? Then they're going to fire them for cause. And then they'll give up all the other things that they didn't, you know, were promised. But if you trust a promise by Donald Trump, you're a huge freaking idiot. So, if you're considering this and are willing to just go without benefits and risk that, and willing to risk it, I would demand your money up front. But it doesn't sound like you can get your money up front. So that's why I wouldn't do this. Force their hand. Force their hand to go through the civil service procedures to get rid of you. Even if it means having to return to work. Even if it means having to go into the office full time. Now, for some people made decisions. Like, I know somebody who works for the federal government who now would have to commute like an hour and a half each day to get back and forth to her job. So commuting an hour and a half each day is ridiculous. But she was promised or told at the time that she could continue working from home. So that's why she moved. She moved to a better place that was better for her so she could continue doing her job. There's no reason for anybody to believe that this letter, that this bunch of malarkey is anything but disingenuous. And again, I would talk to a lawyer if you're questioning or if you're considering this at all. I would absolutely, I mean, it might cost you some money to find out that information, but don't trust, I wouldn't touch this with the 10-foot pole. Make them fire you via civil service regulations. Make them take the actions against you while looking for a new job. And then you can, once you find a new job, you can then resign and retire and have that be the end of it. But don't make it easy on them. Don't make his job of screwing people over any more easy than it already is. He's going to have plenty of ways to screw people over. Don't help them out. What do you think? Should people take advantage of this offer? Agree or disagree with any of the points that I made in this video? Make sure to like the video, comment, share it with your friends, and of course, unless you're a Nazi, have a good day. Save that link for later, because when I post that Fat Man Rant, I'll want to link to that opm.gov/fork. Of course, I can find it again, but it's easier if I don't just delete it. Let's go back into the comments and see people who have been commenting since I put that link. Marie's here. Good to see you, Marie. Jan here. Thank you all for joining. Let's see. Apparently, they're trying to get the civil service according to Dude. Well, yeah, exactly. But we knew that they were doing that. They've been telegraphing that for months, if not the entire campaign. That even Project 2025 wants to get rid of that. There are people who are, in the Senate in hearings who have said that they want to reclassify these employees. So, let's see. I kind of hope Trump has the government seize all Elon's assets and deports him. That would be amazing, but, that would be the ultimate finding out phase, wouldn't it be? So that's probably why he fired all the IGs, to give Muskrat more government contracts. Exactly. That's the other thing. The getting rid of the IGs is, another thing that he did that is blatantly illegal, because he's supposed to go to Congress if he believes that he has cause to remove the IGs. But I guess the way around it is to, give them pay, is to let them get paid and be sent home and then figure it out afterwards, so they're not actually doing work. But they're mad at the IGs because the IGs helped Jack Smith. So, see, Rachel Maddow covered a lot of this, and especially where J.D. Vance fits into the grift and overtake the government by the billionaire oligarchs, pretty much. Let's see. They did that last time by moving the Department of Agriculture out of D.C. and ultimatum of move or lose your job. And again, that's absurd, but again, that's what they do. They do the absurd. I stopped taking notes of what my videos are. God damn it. I said I was going to do something and I forgot to do it because I got too entrenched in actually talking about the show. See, parents deserve credit and the blame when they choose a path and cultivate their story. Yes, the parents deserve the blame, but the kids do not. Trump's biggest skill is being a ridiculous human being, but so inconsequential to your day-to-day that he slips by all the normal alarm settings people have until it's too late. Well, now it's too late for a lot of people because that's how he got elected, but now his decisions are more than inconsequential. His decisions are going to have many consequences that are going to be harming a lot of people. See, there's attorneys that specialize in employment law. Yes, there are. And they need to be spoken to before taking advantage of this BS. And I guarantee you, I mean, I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. I'm not like Mike Ross from Suits, where I have, I'm not an attorney, but I have, memory. I can memorize and understand everything that I hear or whatever, or that I read. I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I would guarantee you that any attorney who is adept at employment law would look at this and be like, there ain't no way you should take this, son or daughter or whatever. Ain't no way you should be accepting this BS right now. No way. You are putting yourself too much at risk. Make them fire you via the civil service ways. Don't take advantage of this. Period. See, I got let go from the bank the day I was going to resign. I kept my mouth shut when I realized it got 2 months pay. There you go. one position that let me go. It was like it was a 6 month, position or whatever. We're supposed to be extended or whatever, and they let me go. But they gave me 2 weeks severance or whatever, and I was able to then say, when looking for new jobs, why did they go? Well, it wasn't a good fit. We determined both that it wasn't a good fit, and they gave me 2 weeks severance for it. So the fact that I was able to cite the severance package was like, oh, it wasn't for cause. It was just not a good fit. So there you go. See, is it possible Trump can break America to the point that they're able to turn into Russia with a meth addiction and Musk worship? May very well be. Hell, it may be Putin worship. He may just want to hand everything over to Putin because Trump is beholden to Putin. The question is, does he have his buddy Putin do it for him? Exactly. That's exactly what I said. What I was going to say. Oh, I did have a sub-rant that I wanted to make to that other thing. So I did say more on that in a second when it came to working from home. So here's another fat man rant for you. I think you're going to be expecting a lot of fat man rants in the near future. With this whole fork in the road letter BS that they're talking about, with Donald Trump trying to illegally get rid of people or trying to con them into retiring or resigning so that they don't have to illegally terminate their contracts and positions. Part of it is that they want people to stop working from home. The concept of that people shouldn't be able to work from home is bizarre to me. And that's not simply because I work from home. It's because there are many positions that don't require you to work in an office. If you work at a call center, you can work from home. If you're a software developer, you can work from home. There are many positions that you could have that don't require you to come into an office. There's plenty of ways to communicate with your fellow employees. There are so many meetings that could simply be emails. And then you could have Zoom meetings or other virtual meetings via Microsoft Teams or any other form of technology that exists out there to have a group of people have a conversation about important issues without needing to be in person-to-person contact. They talk about the Department of Government efficiency, but working from home is more efficient. You use less gas because you don't have to commute to work every day. You save time by not having to commute to work every day. It would save money because you don't have to pay for electricity for the buildings. You could actually probably sell off the buildings and make a profit out of them and actually use that money for other things. Trump could probably buy the buildings from the government for his own thing, make more hotels. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't agree with that idea, but I'm surprised Donald Trump didn't think of that before coming up with the stupid idea of stopping people from working from home. Hell, I even asked conservative radio talk show host Jeff Crouere earlier today about these issues. And I was like, what happens if somebody has a disability? It's harder for them literally to get out of their house, to drive their car, to get transportation, to go to work, to have the work have accommodations for them, and then to get home. It would be much cheaper for the employers, i.e. the federal government, to allow them to work from home. It would be much more efficient for them to just simply be able to work from home. But requiring a disabled person, or a person with a disability, to come into the office just makes it more difficult on them. It makes it more difficult on the employer or the department or that the employee is working for. Jeff Crouere said, oh, well, maybe there could be exceptions or exemptions made to enable people who have disabilities from working from home. But that's not what Donald Trump has done here. There's nothing in that page, in that letter, that says, if you have a disability, we may consider making an exception for you, or we will make an exception for you when it comes to the working from home bit. He, again, is swatting flies with hammers, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, whatever cliche you want to use. But he's making it so that these people fall through the cracks. Because with all of these executive actions, or most of them, he has taken actions where he hasn't taken into consideration those minor cases. And maybe it's because I am a software developer. Maybe it's because as a software developer, I do think all the time about so-called boundary conditions. If you have a program that works for, most of the cases, it also needs to handle the exceptions, the things that don't happen, but still might cause the program to break. The same thing should apply for laws, for public policy, etc. When making those public policies, you shouldn't just design them simply to deal with the general cases. You should design them to also be able to properly deal with those boundary conditions, those outside rare cases that still might happen. You should make sure to do that, but they don't, because again, he's swatting flies with hammers. In reality, when I work from home, because I'm a work from home person, I want to make sure that my work is better. I want to prove to my employer that letting me work from home is something that's beneficial to them, because they're saving money on office space, they're saving money on whatever power I might use, they're allowing me more time to work from home, which means I'm available more often because I don't have the commute to happen. And again, I'm going to want to prove to my bosses that that I'm working correctly, that I'm giving them what they're paying for, so that they can't fire me. So I'm absolutely going to make sure that my work is, 100% as good as what I would give them if I was working in an office. And the fact that I don't have to work in an office probably means that it's going to be easier for me to make sure that the work I do is just as good, if not better, than the work I would do for them in an office. So the entire thing, the entire stopping people from working home BS is BS. Because there's no reason for many of these people who work from home to have to now come into the office, unless you're trying to do outrageous shenanigans like the Trump administration is clearly trying to do. What are your opinions? Agree? Disagree? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and unless you're a Nazi, have a good day. So yeah, there's that. There's still more to rant about. I don't think this is going to be another Fat Man rant. I think I've made enough Fat Man rants for the day. But there's still more to discuss when it comes to government action. I don't like having this picture being as part of a Facebook thing because it brings up Facebook notifications on the screen, and there might be some notifications I don't want y'all seeing. What if my wife sent me something, personal and sweet that I don't want sharing because it's none of y'all's business and it's just my business? Whatever. It is what it is. Let's see. Blue. Going back. Kimchi. Jeff, that sounds like a lawsuit to me. Hey, you'll never know who did it, but it happens. Doesn't matter. Blah, blah, blah. Kimchi, yes, I didn't give a crap at the time. Shouldn't it be a spork? Yeah, it should probably very well be a spork, Josh. You're right. But again, it's Donald Trump, so who cares about him being accurate, right? Swinner Monkey, I got fired for making a fake guitar out of company property and being late every day for 2 years. Clock-in cards are a thing, people. That's crazy. I had an employer. I used to work for a hospital down here when I was in college, and they had the most ridiculous system, where you got paid at quarter-hour increments. So, like, if you clocked in at 8:07, it was the same thing as clocking in at 7:53. So if you clocked in at 8:08, it would be the same thing as clocking in at 8:22. Right? That's clearly open for abuse. And so there will be, and if you worked for more than 6 hours in a row in any given day, they would automatically dock you a half an hour for your required lunch break. So one thing I would definitely do, because part of my job requiring starting a bunch of things printing and then waiting for a good long time, I would come in, I would do a bunch of work, and before 5 hours and 45 minutes, I would clock out, go do something else, and then clock back in an hour or two later. Maybe I would do my homework or whatever, or maybe I would go grab a bite, or maybe I'd go hang out with whoever I was dating at the time. Guess what? That way I didn't lose a half an hour of my clock-in time for my required meal. Yeah, I would, go be doing something else. I wouldn't be taking more money than I was supposed to get. But again, the systems had pure ways that were rife with abuse. I mean, I wonder how many people, if they did an audit of how many people used the time card, loopholes, how many people clocked out at 53, or with 7 or minutes or less before the hour? How many people clocked in with 7 minutes or less after the hour? How many 14 minutes chunks did people get paid for that they didn't actually pay for because they clocked in later early? Right? It's rife for abuse. But no, they want people not working from home because that's what corporate America. They're on, and it's not just a federal government thing. There are corporations like Yahoo who have said we want people to start working from home again. Why? If you're a software developer, there's no reason to be in the office. I mean, if you work for the actual infrastructure, if you're a computer hardware engineer, or if you work on networking, then yeah, you might have to be in the office, or you might at least have to be able to come into the office as it's necessitated by the problems that arise. That makes total sense. Maybe if you're like the higher up bosses that need to be there all the time to be able to meet directly with the directors, yeah, maybe you should be there. If you work for a law firm, you may very well need to have, your paralegals there, maybe, especially if you want to have them working directly with your attorneys. Fine. But there are clearly many other positions, like people who take phone calls, switchboard operators. All this stuff can be done virtually. You don't need to have all this office space. It's a waste of space. Now, an environmentally conscious person would not only see the fact that you would not use as much energy, therefore it would be more efficient in reality and not in Doge efficiency, but you could also take some of these office spaces and maybe turn them into green spaces instead. That's just wacky leftist thinking on my part, I suppose. Anyway, I mean, if I didn't work from home, I wouldn't be able to take care of my wife when she needed me. Can you imagine what I would have to be dealing with right now? If I didn't work from home? I still get my work done, but I still had my meetings I need to attend. But if I need to go take my wife to get a blood test done, and then I have to do a little bit of work after my podcast, I can do that. I'm free to. I can work whenever the heck I want to, as long as I'm available during the workday to answer things, and as long as I'm. Today I wasn't really available to answer things because I was sick, but I didn't feel well. I feel much better now. I felt bad for the last 2 days, but again, that's what sick days are for. But still, if I had to take care of my wife while working in an office, what would I supposed to do at that point? What would they ask of me at that point? So I'm thankful that I get to work from home because I can take care of the family issues I need to take care of while making sure that my job gets done properly. Let's see. I've never been fired, but I did get laid off a couple weeks every year. Mandatory unpaid vacation. That's just crazy, bizarre stuff. Let's see. No one takes dodgy 6 days hungover working from home. Our absences went way down when we did it. No one got warnings. No one got sacked. It was fantastic. I spent most of my mornings working from bed. That's what my wife does. Hell, my wife has been working from home since well before the pandemic because an out-of-state company bought the business and they said, well, you can just work from home. And they provided her a laptop and they said, here you go. And she even worked from the hospital bed because there was really nothing for her to do and she had work to do. So I brought her work computer and she did work from her hospital bed. You shouldn't have to do work from your hospital bed, but she was able to do so. But again, she's hourly and I'm salaried, so there's little differences for that. Let's see. I've skipped a whole bunch of things. Let's see. Josh says, Steve, my brother heads up a team. Their productivity went up 30% working from home. I absolutely believe it. I believe my productivity is great working from home. Hell, one of the complaints that a former manager at a previous place that I worked was that I spent too much time talking to other employees. I mean, stupid. Because what would happen is I would walk over to talk to one of my coworkers, especially the coworkers I was working on when it came to projects that we had to work on together, and I would be discussing. I would go over to their desk. I would discuss those things for maybe a half hour, And maybe like after 28 minutes, I might ask them something like, I asked somebody just gave me a whole bunch of jalapeno peppers. How would you make salsa? And that little blurb of a 2-minute conversation was like, made somebody all mad at me because I was having personal conversations when the vast majority of my conversation was taking place about work-related stuff. Although the people who smoked in that same office could leave their desk and conversate with each other outside the building for 15 minutes or more at a time, and nobody complained about that. It's one of the other bizarre corporate things. It didn't stop me from getting my work done. It stopped them from getting work done. For the fact that we were able to have a conversation enabled us to get our work done. We didn't have to go get a meeting room or anything. We just did the work. And we did the work together, and I work well with people. Now that I work from home, when I have to get requirements from people on software that I'm making for my current job, my current position, we have a virtual meeting. And in those virtual meetings, sometimes we talk about non-work related stuff because it happens. Because you want a sense of camaraderie amongst your workers. People might say, well, that's why you want to work in person, so you get a better sense of camaraderie. No, we can have conversations, we can talk about things. I go into the office for like work events, and I talk to the people there. But it's just a bizarre concept. I think it's more likely a boomer concept. Like, I think it's boomer mentality that basically tells you, oh, that's how we used to work. We used to work from home all the time, so therefore we work from home all the time then. If it's good for them, if it was good for us then, it's good for us now. Well, back then you didn't have telecommuting that was efficient and quick. Back then you didn't even have telecommuting for a long-ass time. You wanted a computer that can telecommute, you would have to take up a whole room in your house. So yeah, telecommuting back then was impossible. Telecommuting now, perfectly reasonable. But boomers don't understand it. And I guarantee you, the federal government is going to lose a lot of high talented people with this little purge of theirs. And we're going to see the whatever I like to say about this whole thing come true, which is that Republicans will run on how horrible government is, and then they'll get elected and they'll prove it. So this is just going to prove how horrible government can be. This is not going to be a wonderful streamlining of government like they try and claim it's going to be. It's going to be disastrous. See, Big Hook. The Russian Phantom fleet destroying the undersea internet cables are going to forfeit them and not be allowed to access regular shipping routes. Nice. Let's see. I was petitioning the company I worked for a 3-day week. I had proved I could do my work in the 3 days, and that when they noticed I hadn't clocked in for 2 years, they had a pretend guitar. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I suggested, like, when gasoline hit like super stupid high prices, like when it was like $4 a gallon or whatever, or $4.50 or whatever, but it was really big, and that's bad. That's high for New Orleans. I was like, look, would it be possible? Shouldn't we consider potentially allowing, people to work from home, especially people who were commuting in from like Mississippi? Because there was somebody in my team that commuted in every day from Mississippi every day, an hour a day each way, just to work. That person could have more easily worked from home and not have a problem with it. But that company that I worked for, if you wanted to work from home, you had to use PTO. If I'm using PTO, I'm not working. No way in hell. So, and that type of mentality is what causes people to be less efficient. They will find their own ways to cut corners to be able to make it worth their time. See, Big Hook asks, do you work from home, Dan? I'm guessing that answered your question already because I said so, but yes, I do. See, we do know if we... let's see, Steve. Yes, we do know if we do nothing, we will get sacked, so it's easy to do more with less effort. Exactly. Let's see. Steve says, but we were there for nearly 20 years. When we decided, nah, I'm out, we got 3 years full-time salaries to pay out. It's not bad. But it's probably up in front, right? These people from the federal government are not getting paid up front. So it's a big hook. It's rife for abuse because the employers treat their employees like shit. Well, there is that. I mean, yeah, and that's kind of the point that I eventually got to, is that people will start abusing systems when their employers don't treat them like, human beings. When you are valued as an employee, you will do the work that's needed of you, especially if they're allowing you to do things like work from home if you can. Let's see, Jeff. I told some maggots that janitors work from home. If they are Mexicans, they are totally agreed. That's what's probably going on, and that's how stupid they are. And that's one of the things that makes me mad that they're able to win. But again, stupid people are able to do lots of things if they come in large numbers. Yeah, almost every company is set up to abuse the workers. If you are clever, you can enjoy work. I've only ever had one job I loved and enjoyed it. It was as electronics engineer doing jobs for AMS. Yeah, I mean, my current employer, I really like my current employer. They are woke. They support DEI, the real version of what DEI is, and not the made-up boogeyman that the conservatives like to talk about. They treat me fair with respect. They don't expect unreasonable things from me. When they do expect things urgently from me, they still understand. When my mother-in-law passed away, they take all the time you need to deal with all this stuff. They trust me to do the job, and I do the job. I remember one of my job interviews that I had. I was going to go work for the clerk of courts in New Orleans, and I made the entire second part of the interview about trust. I had a theme about trust. I am going to be someone, you need to be able to trust me that I'm going to do my job without having to look over my shoulder. I need to trust you that you're going to treat me reasonably, not overly burden me. While you can expect me to do a lot of work, you're not going to make unreasonable demands out of me for my position. And that, so we need to be able to trust each other to have a good working environment. And there was in this meeting, usually interviews have maybe 1 or 2 people in them. This meeting had 8. It was the clerk of courts and all of her deputy clerk of courts. I had them nodding their heads. They were all I like what this guy is saying. This guy is good. And then they lowballed me $10,000 less than what the original offer was for. And I'm like, we just had this conversation on trust, and now you're going to lowball me? F that and F you. I'm not taking your job. Because that's how I knew that the job, that the pretty picture that I was painting of what I would like the work to be was not going to be that. See, Serena Monkey, someone had to explain why Americans have to work 2 to 3 jobs, and I was horrified. Yeah. It is terrible. I mean, one of the reasons when I started doing Uber and Lyft is because I was working for a nonprofit. Now, the nonprofit was flexible with me, and the nonprofit, it was fulfilling to me that I was doing some work and helping them do good work. So I was willing to accept the smaller amount of pay, especially considering the fact that by accepting the smaller amount of pay, I was going to be able to have my student loans paid off after 10 years under the PLSF. However, I still needed to make a little extra money, so I did Uber and Lyft, back when you could do Uber and Lyft and make money with it. And I made good money with it when I did it. But nowadays, you can't make that good money. But yes, Americans have to work all these jobs because, the pay sucks. We don't have good benefits. We don't have a good support structure with Medicare and Medicaid for all or whatever. And as such, we have to deal with all the ridiculous that causes us to have to work so much. Let's see, Dan, 2 minutes every 30 times 10 people. How many hours lost? I've heard all that crap before from a-hole management types. Exactly. That's what they say. But again, if I have to constantly look over my shoulder, if I think some manager is after me and after my job, and wanting to get rid of me, then yeah, that's going to make me less efficient because I'm going to be more worried about looking over my shoulder for her stupid ass than I was worried about my job. Hell, there was one time when I was working, what was it? They had the policy where every other week you could work 4 10-hour days and then have Fridays off. It was just during the summer. So I took advantage of that. And I would come in, I'd go in at 7 o'clock in the morning and leave at whatever allowed time that would be. Doing the math, blah, blah, blah. What was that? Just leave at 6, I guess? Or, have I guess that would allow for an hour lunch if I'm doing the math properly. Yeah, because that's 11 hours and then minus 1 hour, so 10 hours. So I'd come in at 7, leave at 6. Put in four 10-hour days. Get off Friday. This one Friday was the last Friday I was going to be able to spend with my son before he had his first day of school. So I was going to spend the day with him. But there was a big emergency that had to be dealt with, and if it wasn't dealt with over the weekend, heads would roll. That's what the manager said. That's what the head of the IT department said. Heads would roll. What a great way to encourage people to do good work for you, right? So instead of having to, be off. Instead of getting to be off that entire weekend, I had to work 30 hours over that weekend. When I asked my boss if I could then have Monday off and not use PTO, he said, no, you could not do that. I was like, I'm like, I just put in 70 hours over the last week and lost my free day on Friday. You're not going to let me take my free day on Monday instead? Nope, sorry, can't do that. You need to come into work. So I come into work for my regular 8-hour shift that week. Guess what? I start doing some work. I start something running, like some process that I had to wait like maybe 2 minutes for the process to complete. So I looked at my phone real quick. One of the managers that had it out for me, or the manager that had it out for me, saw it, left, made a formal report and complaint about me in that time. And then somebody told me that somebody just made a formal complaint about the fact that I was looking at my phone. Oh, I stormed out of that office. I think I made a scene. And then I came back like 2-3 hours later, and I was like, we need to have a conversation about this. I apologize if me opening the door and leaving loud made a scene, but I am sick and tired of this crap. I worked 70 hours for you last week. I can't look at my phone for 2 minutes while a process is running. Give me a effing break. But they didn't have our backs. I guess this person probably knew how the bodies work, because people were telling me, do not pick a battle with this person. She will win. I was like, fine, whatever. But I'm not. I eventually left because I knew that they weren't going to respect me as an employee. So that's how you lose employees, by not treating them with respect or dignity or whatever. Jeff, is DEI the new way of saying the N-word? Yes, I have said that. I have said that DEI is the way of saying, the non-racist, to not use that word. I have said that conservatives believe that DEI is basically hiring a black person when you could have hired a white person. Because they called Ketanji Brown Jackson a DEI hire because they didn't hire somebody who was the best, even though she was very well qualified, and best is subjective. You can't objectively say who the best for the position would be because it's based on a lot of criteria that will differ from person to person as to who they think would make a good Supreme Court justice. So, yeah. Oh, I haven't even opened the phone lines yet? Wow. I wish NASCAR fans would go fast and turn left politically. Don't I wish? But yeah, basically, I said, just how I used to say thug was the new N-word. Just as thug is the new N-word, so is a DEI hire. If you're a DEI hire, that's basically the way. They hired this person. They hired to take the job of a white person or whatever. As a NASCAR fan, I have no problem with Dale Earnhardt Inc. Nice. DEI and CRT are the new code switching monikers for racism by conservatism. Yep. It's a way for them to wear their Klan robes without wearing their Klan robes. So the story in the electronics industry is almost all female in the shop floor. They have nimble fingers is the trope. Also, you don't have to pay them for that much if you're a shy. You are effed. Yeah, I mean, yeah, people are more than willing to hire people if they can pay them 70 cents on the dollar, right? Or just hire people like they were eye candy. Generally, people are assholes given a little power. Yes, they are. That's absolutely true. See, that's big hook. That's why they now have devices to make your cursor move, because employers are now monitoring the computer activity. Yeah, I don't feel that my work is doing that either, but there are times when I do work when I'm just looking at the stuff on my phone and searching on my phone stuff because I don't feel like typing all this crap. I don't feel like, if I need to research something, I can research something as easily on my phone as I can do on my work computer, and it might be a little easier for me to read with my slightly aging eyes, because I've recently found that, even though these are not bifocals or whatever, but like I don't have readers or whatever, but I have found that if I'm looking at my phone, I need to take my glasses off or else I can't see it. But if I'm looking at my screen right now without my glasses on, that is just a big blur and I can't read any of the letters whatsoever on my screen. I can read it clearly now, but if I have my phone up here next to me, I can. Well, we have one more topic to talk about, but I will briefly put in the call-in and turn off the do not disturb for a brief second. Again, 562-LibDan1, 562-LibDan1 is the call number if you want to call in and make any points you can. If you're Big Hook or anybody else, feel free to make that call. Unfortunately, it does look like our number of current viewers has not peaked to the normal highs that we get to. We're at about 18 right now. Sometimes we get higher. It looks like the peak was 24. It looks like 24 was where we got. Oh, 24. We did hit 25 for a brief second during some point of the show. It is what it is. Whatever. I appreciate y'all who do come here. Loyal Liberal Dan Radio Danimals. Even if you're not a paid Danimal, you're still a Danimal. So, but yes, 562-LibDan1, 562-542-3261. Josh, this show is underrated. Hell, Trucker John says it's the best show on the YouTube. So I'm not going to make that claim myself. I have made the comment, and so is Tara Dublin, said that Liberal Dan Radio is the best show that you're not watching, i.e., or that other people are not watching, but it's the best show that most people aren't watching, which is great to hear. And I've kind of I think it's a clever way. It's like the best show you're not watching currently, making them think that they need to watch it. But I do appreciate the kind words, Josh. Appreciate you. Again, I wish we could find a way to get this to take off in a way that we haven't yet, to skyrocket to the moon. Maybe that's why I'm trying to produce as many like Fat Man rants or other things as possible, to make short, quick little videos to grab people's attention and bring them in, to get them to subscribe and participate, and make it so that we can have 400 viewers, 500 viewers, 1,000 viewers, 2,000 viewers, etc., to keep growing. I'm not sick of you calling in, Big Hook, but that's up to other people to determine if they want to answer it. But you're, again, free to call in whenever you want. I do appreciate your calls. It's also good to have, it's really good to have the perspective from people who live outside the country, because it lets us know not just internally what we're doing, how our actions are being affecting us locally or within the boundaries of our country, but to see how much of an international embarrassment that Donald Trump is. You can't know that unless you talk to the people who are outside this country, who live in other countries, who see how much of a national embarrassment Donald Trump is, and who see what the effects of his international policies are going to have on them, how he is not a good steward of world diplomacy. Let me hit the answer thing. Oh, again, I forgot to... Yeah, we'll accept one, and there is Big Hook. How's it going, man? Good to hear from you.
Hi. So, what do you think? Is the country being lit on fire at this point in time, or?
In one group that I'm on Facebook, I basically made the comment that in 9 days, this dumpster fire has become even brighter than I anticipated it becoming. I mean, if the Department of Government Efficiency has done anything, it's efficiently burning things to the ground. And it is a clustercluck. I mean, our entire Medicaid system, the Medicaid payment system, went down yesterday because of Donald Trump's swatting flies with hammers. I mean, that's going to be the theme, I think, the next 4 years, at least at the beginning. That one of the reasons why his executive orders are going to cause more harm and throw out the baby with the bathwater, whatever other cliches you want to use, it's because whatever problems he perceives, he's swatting flies with hammers. Let me just, you'll be on the screen, but we'll flip over to the alternate real quick, which is this letter from the Defense Intelligence Agency to the DIA workforce, not to be confused with the DEI workforce. The agency is working internally with the department to implement executive orders, ending radical, wasteful government, DEI programs, blah, 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 blah. Number 2, DIA will pause all activities and events related to agency special emphasis programs, which means they're not going to observe. These include observances related to the following: January, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday; February, Black History Month; March, Women's History Month; May, Holocaust Day or Days of Remembrance; May, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month; June, Pride; June 19th, Juneteenth; August 26th, Women's Equality Day; the 15th of September to the 15th of October, National Hispanic Heritage Month; October, National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And November, National American Indian Heritage Month. And of course, there's an asterisk that says the pause will not affect the federal holidays. So they'll still have the federal holidays until they find a way to remove that too. I guarantee you that's at some point during the Trump administration, probably during this year, that they will end the federal observance of Juneteenth. Guarantee that happens. But yeah, these people are now, since they're now able to have their full racism on full display. This is what we voted for. This is what, not you and I, but this is what our nation has elected. This is the policies that we will be seeing, where they are going to be just shoveling whatever they don't, sweeping things under the rug, not wanting us talking about things that need to be talked about, because they make America great again basically just means make America white again.
Yeah. Don't you guys statistically have the fewest number of paid government holidays within the Western developed countries as well?
I don't know I have actually never looked that up. But even then, like, this thing at the moment says that they're not going to actually end the paid the holidays, but they're not going to do the observance. They're not going to like put out anything pertaining to the importance of Juneteenth or any of these other things that we just went over. So, but yeah, it's very well possible that we may very well have the fewest number of paid federal holidays, simply because the fact that we have the fewest amount of many good things as compared to many other industrialized nations across the globe. So yeah, I sort of view it as Trump is using the approach of, oh, you got a splinter in your finger, oh, let's just amputate the hand and be done with it. You know, I mean, his logic is as dystopian and as cruel as possible, because he thinks that the racists get a chuckle out of it. And I mean, it's just disgusting, because, these people didn't do anything to them. They're just trying to do the same damn thing that everyone else is, which is to survive and to prosper and to plan for the future. There's nothing suspect in that. I mean, but, all of a sudden, the melanin in your skin and the accent that you have based on who your parents are becomes a factor for deciding what your lot in life will be. I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, it's racism and bigotry on steroids. And, Trump is a mental health crisis for the whole entire country. He is turning people into assholes on a daily basis. And like, I go on the listen to Dude, and you hear all these people defending Trump, and they're like, oh yeah, and he's gonna make America great again, and all this and that and the other thing. And it's like, and they can't point to any examples of where he has done that. Right.
And
and when you ask them
and
to
they
do
still
it,
say, oh, we'll give him time.
Right. When you ask them to do it, they will say, what about Biden? Because they can't answer anything without doing a whataboutism, because they don't have the answer. They're trained monkeys who don't understand how to make a cognizant point. They might not even understand what the word cognizant means, because Donald Trump, after the 2016 Nevada primary, said he loves the poorly educated. To answer your question, though, that you asked, I think this is close to what you might want. According to like this AI answer, the United States has 12 federal holidays, which are often referred to as bank holidays when the federal government employees do not work, and most banks are also closed. So that's New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Days, Washington's birthday, which is President's Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, and federal holiday-wise, Inauguration Day, which I guess this year they only had 11 federal holidays, because Inauguration Day and Martin Luther King Jr. Day was both on the same day. If you go to the Wikipedia article about paid public holidays, aka bank holidays. It's not necessarily required for private employers, but Cambodia 27, Iran 27, Lebanon 22, Sri Lanka 20, Argentina 19, Azerbaijan 19, Colombia 18, Indonesia 18, Suriname 18, Egypt 17, Hong Kong 17. I mean, I could go on. Pakistan 15. I'm skipping a bunch. Turkey 14 and a half. Gabon 14. Iceland 14. Myanmar 14. A lot of them are at 14.
Yeah.
Austria 13.
And,
I mean, go on and on and on. It takes a very long time to get to 12. Like,
and you guys don't even get your holidays. I mean, you're lucky if you get even 2 weeks holidays, whereas the rest of the Western world, based upon your seniority within wherever you're working, are getting upwards of 6 weeks of paid holiday pay.
And
you know,
and I'm a stupid idiot because I didn't negotiate this as part of my work when I was hired. But when you change employers, that typically all gets reset. So like I had. I mean, this job is a little different than I have than most other employers, because this job treats sick leave and holiday and vacation days separately. So I think I get like overall 22 sick versus 12 sick, and at the start of the job 10 vacation days. So an overall of 22, which may be a few days less than what I would have had if I would have stayed at my initial employer. A lot of companies just take PTO and make it all one big lump sum and say, okay, this is your vacation, but it's also your sick. So whatever. But and your sick rolls over, your pay might not necessarily do so. But again, yeah, we are highly unlikely to get more than that amount unless you stay at the same company for your career. And the odds of people staying at the same company for a year is becoming slimmer and slimmer and slimmer as our society changes, but our society's practices haven't rolled with those changes. So yeah, so it's, you know, many other countries have far more generous, vacation days. Now, I think it was a line in Deadpool. I think the most recent Deadpool movie was something like Denmark has 6 weeks paid leave. They'll never land on the moon, but they're happy people. So yeah, I mean, there's a good happy medium between only giving 10, if that. I mean, my wife is a part-time employee. She doesn't get any paid vacation. She might be off on particular holidays, but she doesn't get any paid vacation. If she has to take a vacation, it means either she has to work more on other days or she gets less pay. So that's how America works.
Yeah, well, we have the old saying, you either live to work or you work to live. And that's the thing. It's like, do you want to enjoy your life, or do you want to work your whole life and die at the end with nothing to leave for your kids? I mean, it's just
yeah. I mean, people they begrudge people who get government benefits because they claim that by accepting government benefits, it means you have less dignity. I'm like, no, that's dumb. But then they want to work you to the bone and treat you like a bunch of workhorses and animals. And guess what? That
yeah,
to me
I know.
That's not dignity. That's the opposite of dignity. That's basically, it's horrific. And then, if you have to work 2-3 jobs and can't spend time with your family because the government doesn't want to, the conservatives don't want to give you benefits enough to be able to only take one job and only work one job and be able to survive, that's terrible. And that's not dignity, not being able to spend time with your family. And they'll claim to be pro-family values, but they're not pro-family values if they're going to support policies that are going to make people not be able to spend time with those families. But then again, some of these people think that a father who wants to spend time with his kids is a beta soy boy cuck or whatever words they want to mosh together to make some sort of, terrible attack on people who, like myself, who only want to work one job, who like spending time with his family and kids, and who generally hate those people who would say people are beta soy boy cucks. So.
Well, that's what's sad because, that song Cats in the Cradle
Yeah.
was a warning of what society was turning into. And how old is that? That's almost 50 fucking years old.
Yeah.
And we have become that, where nobody has any free time. Society has, gotten to the point where if you don't have it, oh, well, what are your options?
Yeah,
well,
too bad
if you're
for you,
if
right?
you're somebody with the wrong skin color, your options are either to go, sell drugs or steal from others. And then that leads to the other destructive part of society, which is, everybody's armed to the teeth and looking around the corner, hoping that they can shoot somebody, under the castle doctrine. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
This insanity is,
That's one of my other pet peeves is the whole. I mean, I don't necessarily mind the idea of the quote castle doctrine and the fact that if somebody's invading your house, maybe you should be able to defend yourself. But one of the problems with what these conservatives have done and how ALEC has made these laws terrible is that it used to be that an affirmative defense, i.e., yes, I did this and here's why it's illegal. If a defendant raised an affirmative defense, the onus then became on the defense to prove that the affirmative defense is correct, with not reasonable doubt standards. It was just like a 50% plus one standard of proof. Like they had to, preponderance. They had to show by the preponderance of the evidence that they were reasonable in using force and doing an activity that would normally be considered illegal. But the way ALEC has been worked, the ones that feed state legislatures all these terrible laws, is they basically then put the onus on the state to then say, oh, if this person raises an affirmative defense, the state now has to prove why it's not. And proving a negative is requiring the proof of a negative is a logical fallacy, and it basically emboldens and basically encourages people in a situation like if you get into a fight with, like, if you're George Zimmerman and you want to stalk Trayvon Martin, you better kill him, because if you don't, he'll be able to testify against you in court and give reasons as to why your affirmative defense is full of crap. But because Trayvon Martin couldn't testify in court because he was dead, he got to raise his affirmative defense, and the state then had to prove why it was an affirmative defense, and he got away with murder.
Yeah, the dead men tell no tales.
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, dead men tell no tales, and they've taken that and they've embraced it, and they've encouraged more people dying. The so-called party of pro-life, because pro-life is only about abortion and not about anything else. But they've basically taken this whole. Now, federally at least, there are still affirmative defenses at the federal level that still require the burden of proof to shift to the defense who raise that affirmative defense. But with Donald Trump as president and with 2 houses of Congress that are going to back him, I wouldn't be surprised if we see those go the way of the dodo as well, because again, it allows horrible people to get away with horrible actions.
Well, this is what gets me, is because all these supposedly undocumented immigrants aren't doing anything. They're not going out and committing more crimes. They're not going out there and they're the ones that are working the 12 and 14-hour days to put food on the table, and living in situations where they're occupying a space that's designed for maybe 4 people, and they've got 12 people in those spaces to make ends meet. They buy all the essentials and provide taxes that they receive no benefit for, and and this whole thing is it's been turned around from the black community to the immigrant community, and when all the immigrants are gone, guess what? They're going to go back to the black community again and demonize them. I mean,
you took the words right out of my mouth. I literally was just going to say that, and any of the black people that voted for Trump who think that they won't, that after he deals with the people like the 30,000 people that they want to set up for the migrant detention facility in Gitmo, After they start dealing with that and start making it so that that they've terrified the Hispanic people from doing anything and standing up for themselves. And if any of the black people think that he won't come for them next, they're fooling themselves. They're kidding themselves. And I don't want anybody to have to find out, but I do kind of want, if people are going to have to find out how bad this decision has been to elect Donald Trump, I want it to be the people who voted for him first. Unfortunately, that's not the way it's going to be. Unfortunately, the way it's going to be is the fact that they're going to go after the people who have no vote, because non-citizens can't vote. But they've convinced the Republican, the MAGA conservatives, the people who call in to talk radio or whatever, they will say over and over again that, oh, these people are voting, and they're not voting. But they've made them into the boogeyman. And who else made people into the boogeyman and who were marginalized and oppressed and otherwise, minor parts of our society that don't have as much say or don't have the ability to fight back? It's Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. That's why I've always said that Donald Trump has been using Adolf Hitler's playbook since 2016, and everyone called me crazy back then. Well, I wish I was. I wish I was wrong, but I'm not.
Well, that's the thing. You don't have to be Nostradamus to see what's coming. I mean, it's all there, written in history. The problem is that history isn't taught anymore because the Republicans know that, if you don't teach them the lessons that were learned through World War I and World War II, you can play the same scam over and over again. And that's sort of, I hate to say it, but it's looking like that's where we're headed, because I'm sorry, I don't trust Trump for a sec that he won't, start a world war based on his ego. I mean, if he feels threatened, he'll play a wag the dog move and decide to start war with Iran and get the ball rolling for an all-out world war, because it'll spread from one area to the next, and then everybody will say, oh well, what do we do from here? And
and here's the interesting thing about that. Like, I don't even know if he would. I don't know how much he would actually go. He talks bluster about Iran all the time. I don't know if he would do it, because who's one of Iran's biggest friends, closest friends, country-wise? It's Russia, and Trump's beholden to Russia. I think if there was a war that would take place, the axis would be made out of the United States and Russia, and maybe even China, because for all the bluster that he talks, he loves President Xi. He wants to be like President Xi. And what have they done? Like, I think Tommy was the other day was talking about the whole tariffs on chips coming in from Taiwan, but there's no tariffs on China from chips coming in. So and a lot of our chips come from Taiwan. I mean, this country was basically, until Trump took over, we supported Taiwanese independence, and we want Taiwan to be free. He doesn't want Taiwan to be free, apparently. He wants to allow Xi to take over Taiwan. He won't intervene. He won't stop that from happening. So I don't believe that that Donald Trump is going to be.
But this is
if there's an axis of World War III, it would include Russia, it would include China, it would include Iran. Problem is I can't see a world where it also doesn't include the U.S. because of how beholden Trump is to Putin and Russia.
But this is the thing. He's playing all the cards that the other adversary countries want to play. China wants to invade Taiwan, but they also want to know that the boy with the most military might are not in the conflict, because they think that there's a chance that they can get away with it. And you know what? It won't end with Taiwan. It'll be who else can we bully?
Yeah.
It'll be the Philippines. It'll be Vietnam. It'll be, that whole area. And Australia is on the cusp as well, because the problem is that they do so much business with China as well that they've become economically dependent upon, some of the money that they get from them just to feed their population. it's ridiculous because the power players seem to be operating through Trump because he is causing all the chaos and making everybody uncertain, and as a result, those options are becoming a reality. Whereas before it was, yeah, it's not going to happen because the U.S. has always been the one that steps in and says, you know what, international law says this is how it works, and if you don't agree with it, we'll step in and enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
And that isn't the case anymore as long as Trump is in office. So
yeah, and it's interesting because the fact what these conservative types are so upset or so obsessed, mind you, with with appeasing Russia. I mean, we all know how appeasement worked. I mean, Neville Chamberlain proved that appeasement is wrong. And there was somebody called into a radio show today, same radio show I usually listen to, and they was talking about how we almost had World War III this week, and nobody's talking about it because, according to this caller, that there was some missile or whatever, or some projectile, or some flying object that was launched from Norway, and they didn't notify Russia of what was going on, and it was basically meant to go study the Aurora Borealis, and because they didn't notify Russia of what was going on, Russia almost activated their systems that would have responded to this as an aggressive action. And the thing is that they're so terrified of pissing off Putin because they love Putin so much that the person calling in didn't even realize that the reason that nobody's talking about this story is because it happened 30 years ago. It happened in 1995 in January, and some articles, some online websites brought it back up because it's the 30-year anniversary of it. But these people allow themselves to just read a headline or just to hear something, and they just automatically believe it like a conspiracy theory because everything to them is a conspiracy. But if everything is a conspiracy, then nothing is a conspiracy. And I almost got it wrong when I called into a show to tell them about it because I almost said it was 20 years ago because my mind has having a very hard time understanding the idea that 1995 was 30 frickin' years ago. And that makes me feel very old. But
you and me both, Dan.
Yeah, but they've. I mean, I graduated high school in 1994. Like, ugh, I mean, I know to some people that's still young,
85.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, you're probably like you're a spring chicken compared to me. But yeah, I'm sitting there like my knees ache every time I hear that 1995 was 30 years ago. But then they do things like
58 is no 58 being 58 is no spring chicken either, and believe me, the aches and pains add up. Unfortunately, I'm susceptible to the stress eating as well as other things, and I'm sure that's what made me go to the emergency room, is that the stress is eating me up alive. I wish I could just shut it off, but I can't. It's
Look, stress is a major
I care
factor.
too much.
If my prescription of Zepbound didn't make me sick, and that was part of actually why I was a little bit sick Tuesday, was because if I eat too much, I literally get an upset stomach. I get what I call the sulfur burps, where it tastes like rotten eggs coming out of my mouth. It's terrible. But I also have the issue because of the past things I've discussed on the podcast, where instead of a lot of times I deal with stress and stuff like that in bad situations by eating. One of the reasons I gained a lot of weight is because of that. And now Zepbound has helped me lose some weight, which is great, and I'm happy to be losing the weight. But it's still there's lots of stress going on. Like, for example, the whole issues with my wife that I'm dealing with. I was literally exhausted simply from having to deal with all of the things I have to deal with. I have to, I'm happy to do everything. I'm happy to be my wife's advocate. I'm happy to take care of my wife and everything needs to be done. Happy to take care of my kids, everything needs to be done. But it all adds up and stacks up, and I was so exhausted. Again, like today, I got home after dropping my youngest son from that school. And after just letting everybody at work know that I was going to be taking another sick day today, I slept till 2 p.m. because I was just that exhausted, and it's just terrible. And then you throw in all of the the dumpster fire that this nation is becoming, and all of the people that Donald Trump is trying to go after and harm with his policies. And you and me and other people who listen to the show, we're all like empathetic people. We have empathy. We don't want to see bad things happening to people. But then you have Donald Trump today signing bullshit like this Laken Riley Act, this poor woman who was murdered. And, I don't disbelieve that this person was here in violation of our laws and committed acts of murder. But, like, part of the Laken Riley Act is like, I have to adjust the screen a little bit.
Yeah, but they'll use they'll use any tragedy to get their agenda through. I mean, this is the thing. There's no legitimacy to what they do. The thing that gets me is that these guys live on anger and racism and bigotry, and I don't know. That must be exhausting as well. Like, you can't tell me that these people are happy, because they aren't happy. They'll never be happy. What happens when all the immigrants are gone? Oh, well, then we'll just hate the black people. And then after that is gone, who are you going to hate next? Oh, we'll just hate the liberals. And then, right. It's a never-ending cycle of blame someone else for all your unhappiness in life, as opposed to, build a system that actually provides for everyone. This is why I keep saying the Scandinavian countries have it right.
Yep.
You pay high taxes, but you get everything provided. You go to work knowing that there's nothing bad that can happen to you. You just go in, you put in your 8 hours, you put in your 35 or 40 years, and you retire, and you spend time with your grandkids and do, lead the life that we all want to live. I mean, it's not complicated.
Right.
This bullshit about not paying taxes and creating billionaires who don't fucking care about anyone but themselves is, redundant. It's redundant.
Yep.
It serves nobody. It doesn't make the planet any better. I mean, who would have thought that we would be at the stage now where we wonder, is climate change going to take us all out before we ever get to the point where we can retire?
Well, there's the theory. There's the theory on the cartoon side of things. There's the theory that the Jetsons and the Flintstones took place at the same time. That the reason why the Flintstones, for example, had Christmas was because the Flintstones is actually taking place in a post-apocalyptic society. But the Jetsons were all the people who could escape it by moving up to the sky and living up there instead of down on post-apocalyptic Earth below. Which, I mean, if that's true, then that's the reality of things, because the rich and wealthy people believe that they'll be able to have the ability to avoid any bad things that come to them, because they'll just spend a lot of money and spend themselves out of it. Who cares what happens to the rest of us? I mean, when you're in a post-scarcity society, you would think that everybody would be great, but when you have people hoarding riches like dragons, dragons hoarding gold, you end up having a situation where the have-nots become more and the haves become fewer, and we end up, screwing over everybody else except for the people who probably don't deserve anything to begin with, i.e. the billionaires who don't give a crap about anybody else. The good people suffer, the bad people get elevated, and there we go.
Yeah, well, like I pointed out earlier,
Wait, hold on. Tim's like, explain Dino then. Wait. Tim's like, explain Dino then. Clearly, mutations from the nuclear fallout. That's how Dino happened. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. But like I said earlier, universal health care. Canada isn't perfect, but we got that right.
Right.
And we don't squabble about it. We just simply said, this works. We had one province that had it, and they said, gee, that works really well. And everybody else looked at it and said, I want that. And we voted on it, and it happened. And, we take an issue, we debate it, and then we vote on it, and then and more often than not, we come up with a solution, and we move on, and we tackle bigger problems. And, no offense, but your system sucks. It really sucks.
I'm not offended by the truth, so there you go.
You guys fight over the stupid things, and it's especially all these, these culture things. Oh, LGBTQ, oh, black people, oh, the world is horrible. It's like, fuck off.
Well, we have a unique thing in our book. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily unique, but we've perfected the art of marginalizing people and making poor white people not look up at who's peeing on them because they'll blame the people below them who they view or perceive as being below them as causing the puddle. Like, they as long as there's somebody who they can look down on, they won't look up to see who's really screwing them. So
yeah, well, that's it. That and the keeping up with the Joneses thing, which is the consumerism problem that we all fall into as well, right? I mean, we're constantly being bombarded with ads and need to buy the latest and the greatest when, in fact, what we currently have in our hand is more than sufficient, Yep. And we're destroying the planet at such an accelerated rate. It's, I don't know. It feels like we're putting the hangman's noose around our neck voluntarily and walking towards the edge. It's frightening as hell.
It does. And the problem is it's not y'all's fault. It's the fault of us who elect Donald Trump because we're the ones causing it. I mean, not me, but obviously we're the ones who are putting the world at the brink. And it sucks. And I don't, I can't really apologize for the country because I'm not the one who makes the decisions for it. It means nothing coming from me when I can't do anything to change it. But I mean, I'm trying with the podcast, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, but that's the fault of the educational system now.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys had a system before that used to do that when the middle class was there. You had the government pay for whatever it was, like 85% of the cost of going to college because the colleges were subsidized. So basically all you were paying for was the cost of your school books, and the rest of it was subsidized. Now it's the other way around. The students are on the hook for 85% or 75% or whatever it is for the cost of running the facilities and paying for the professors' salaries and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? It's just, since Reagan, you guys went absolutely backwards. And I mean, now, your opportunities are so limited. And as I think Dude said it yesterday, he said, you guys are playing the game of Monopoly and you don't realize that the oligarchs own all the properties. So no matter where you land on the board, you're losing money and you're destined to lose at the very end. I mean, where do you go from here? And the sad part is even that simplistic an explanation to the conservatives doesn't sink in. And I don't see any hope. These people are so bloody attached by the lips to Trump's ass that they won't see daylight, or and they're already choking on what they've attached themselves to. It's sickening, because we went from the Wall Street where greed is good and all this stuff, and these were supposed to be warning tales, not aspirations. The movies were supposed to be warnings of what society will become if we, take on these darker desires without consideration for others.
Well, I mean, we talk about our educational. We talk about our educational system, and we have. Let's see. you have one, oh, let's see, blah, 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 blah. Like a new poll, or a poll from 2023 from YouGov and The Economist has basically said that of people from 18 to 29 in the United States, 20% believe that the Holocaust is a myth, and then another 23 or so percent believe that the Holocaust has been exaggerated. So this is why we elect people like Donald Trump who spout Nazi rhetoric and do Nazi things, and appoint, you know, Elon Musk, who does Nazi salutes to the audience, and everyone tries to make excuses for him, simply because the fact that we have so many people in this country who just refuse to believe the truth about like things like the Holocaust. Like, you know, I'm sure most of these same people also believe the lies about vaccines too, and thinks vaccines cause autism, think a whole bunch of other crap. But yeah, we have, you know, we're screwed if this continues to happen.
But they're dumb because they're taught to be dumb. That's the whole thing.
Right.
When you have states that can basically dictate what is in the education curriculum and what's taught to kids, that's wrong. You know, there should be a national standard that is required. And if you refuse the national standard, then you don't get funding.
Right.
You know, it's stupid. We don't enforce things anymore. They rely on, oh well, you have to get along. You have to get along to play along, and it's like, and they don't want to play along. They don't want to get along either. They just, you know, what's that saying? The best trick that the devil ever played on human beings was convincing them that he didn't exist.
Right.
And Donald Trump is living proof that the devil does exist. I mean,
in human form and
fucking wipe the shit out of your eyes and smell what's in front of you. It's a flaming turd of shit that you stepped in, and you need to wipe it off and start all over. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, but if Donald Trump told the MAGA folks that what was on their shoe was actually, like, you know, pudding instead of shit, they'd believe him because they don't question anything he ever does. Anyway, about to end the show probably because I do have some stuff I have to do before bed, and we're already at 3-hour mark. So anything else you want to throw in before I let you go and end the show?
Well, I guess we could say Trump has convinced them to eat the yellow snow because he's convinced them that it's a snow cone and that they should be happy with that. I guess that's what I would end with.
I mean, that's I can't think of any better way to end it. Well, thank you very much, Big Hook. Again, you're all, I'm not sick of you. I'm not going to be sick of you. I appreciate your support of the show and your calling in and you know, maybe almost like an honorary co-host at this point. But look, I appreciate it. I appreciate your call in, and again, I appreciate the perspectives from our northerly neighbors. And again, welcome to call in anytime. I appreciate you and hope you have a good rest of your night.
You too, Dan. I hope your wife gets well soon.
Thank you so much, and I hope you don't have to go back to the ER as well. Thank you so much, man. Bye. All right, everybody. That was Big Hook calling in. We're gonna shut down the phone lines at this point, just because of the fact that you know, I want to make sure that, you know, I get some other stuff done before I head to bed. And I need some other stuff there. Just a reminder, again, we have this Best Fiends way, a new way to support the show. It's a free game to play. It's a 30-day campaign. The idea is to get up to level 300. You can gain 10 levels every day and hit that goal. There's also more bang for your buck ways to help the show monetarily. If you make one single $2.99 purchase to buy something in the game, you will get I will get $4 for the show to help out the nerdydan.com stream, which is my other project that I do that is part of the whole Liberal Dan Radio umbrella. So I appreciate everybody for watching today. I don't know if Dude is still on. I'm sure I will be watching Dude and listening to Dude whilst I do some of the other work I have to do before I go to bed. To those watching on Twitch, until again we find a better song to come out with that isn't going to be flagged by Twitch as violating copyright. It'll be a hard outro. Otherwise, we'll play the same outro music on as we're finished. Appreciate every one of y'all. Thank you so much, Impeccable Living, for the Venmo, and also thank you everybody else, Impeccable Living, Mad Mac, for the membership gifts and for purchasing memberships yourselves. So until the next show, I mean, if something huge happens between now and the and next Monday, I will post it about it on Blue Sky and Twitter and here on YouTube that we'll have a special show. I'll let the Mod Squad and Andrea know, so you can be informed about that on their show, on Hal's show as well. But again, thank you so much for joining in. Appreciate every one of y'all for what we do, what y'all do to help out the show. Thank you so much, and have a good night.